until I was 27.
Well, like, what kind of Christian? Like, have you heard the gospel? Like, tell me what the gospel is.
Pentecostal.
Okay, well, what's the gospel? Tell me it.
I know what the gospel is. Just let me know why you think I should believe in Jesus.
Well, I disagree with most people on the TikTok lives, especially Catholics, about what the gospel is. So I want to make sure we're on the same page.
I wasn't a Catholic. I was a Protestant. I'm pretty sure I was the same type of Christian you were.
Okay, just tell me what you think the gospel is.
Etc., all that good stuff.
That Jesus is the Lord and the way, the truth, and the light, etc., Son of God, Trinity, etc., all that good stuff. Classical Christianity.
No. Okay, that is the religion of Christianity. But actually, the gospel is that when Jesus died on the cross, he did it so that you don't have to pay your karmic debt back. It's all on his tab, all on his account, and there's no strings attached, no church attendance, no giving money, no any of that. And anybody that's trying to gatekeep Jesus and the full and free salvation that he gives, that's a bad person. If they're trying to take money from you, especially if they're not giving it out to the people who need it, they are.
That's literally no different from what I just said. That's literally no different from what I just said. All I said was, hold on. What I said, John, was that Jesus is the Lord and personal Savior, the way, the truth, and the life. I said nothing about church. I said nothing about money.
The issue with it.
Okay. So I said exactly. Hold on. I said exactly the same thing you said. So
what's your problem with it?
What evidence do we have?
The issue with it is that there's no evidence that it's true.
Okay, so I disagree there.
I didn't say
okay, what evidence do we have that is true?
First of all, let's start out with if you don't think Jesus was even a real person.
Yeah, let's go with what I'm
I didn't say Jesus wasn't a real person. That's not what I said.
Okay, well, lots of people say that Jesus wasn't even a real person. Okay, so I'm glad we can agree there.
Yeah, let's go with what I'm saying.
Okay, so correct. Do you believe that he was crucified?
Yeah, sure, he was crucified.
Okay, but you don't believe he rose again?
Correct.
Okay. Now, there's a famous quote. Obviously, we disagree politically, so you're not going to like it, but I don't have a better one, but it's summing up. He said, after Watergate, President Nixon said, I started believing in Jesus because after trying to hold a secret with some of the top secret-keeping people in the entire world, like CIA, like everyone involved, and he couldn't do it with Watergate, the fact that none of the apostles said, oh, we made up that Jesus rose from the dead, all of them made him believe. And, like, that's so real because, like, to me, if anybody was torturing me and I had made up some nonsense about my friend rising from the dead because I was in his cult or whatever, they're torturing me, I'm going to tell the truth. You know, to death, not all of them were tortured to death maybe, but, like, none of them said, oh, yeah, that was nonsense. Not to mention the historical books surrounding Jesus appearing to countless people, like 400 people at one time, is consistent with any other historical document of the time period. Like, there's more evidence of Jesus' resurrection alone than of Alexander the Great even existing, and that's my evidence.
All right, so when it comes to Jesus rising from the dead, we actually have no evidence that he did. Like, for example, what you said about the 400 or 500 people seeing him after he died, the only place that we have that is in the Bible itself. We have no other historical references that happened, right? So that we can't just go off what the Bible. We just can't go off what the Bible says because the Bible is claimed as not evidence. Like, for example, the Iliad says that Zeus came down and intervened with the Battle of Troy. No one actually seriously believes in Zeus nowadays. So we just can't go off of what a thing said that something supernatural happened, therefore it's true. We just can't go off of that. You actually have to have evidence that resurrection is even possible in the first place, and then you have to have evidence. You have to have evidence. You have to have evidence. You would have to have evidence. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're going to do. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. No one is going to speak over me, and I'm not gonna fight for the mic in my own life. So when I talk, everybody shuts the fuck up. Is that understood by everybody?
Yeah.
I know it's not
great
because I was speaking.
So,
and he
okay, what happened to the last guy?
Do not speak over.
Not sure what happened to the last guy.
He didn't like you muting him.
It's your
That's
turn.
not cool,
Check
dude.
my hits.
I know it's not cool because I was speaking and he kept on speaking over me. Do not speak over me. All right, so now it's your turn. Check my hits. Check my hits. Are you at least 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes, I'm 27. I disagree with the first one.
Great. Yeah, America was never great. Why do you think it was? Ever
It was
was?
great in 2018.
It was great in 2018.
Yeah.
What happened in
First
2018?
term.
Did we have equal opportunity yet?
Well, the economy was good and inflation was down. It was like 1%. We just got a tax cut. I mean, things are great.
Did we have equal opportunity yet?
Cool.
Yes, everyone did, including the blacks who don't deserve it.
The blacks who don't deserve it?
Blacks and the Jews, they don't deserve that shit, but we gave it to them anyways.
Cool. All right, I'm not talking to a racist, y'all, so that's wasting my time.
Yeah, he's got his own opinion, right?
Nah, fuck that.
All right.
All right, so Fathom, how's it going? Are you at least 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, I think America's definitely great.
Cool.
I mean, where
I don't
else
think
would we
America
go,
was
you know?
Canada. I don't think America was ever great because
Canada, are you in Canada?
be quiet. I don't think America was ever great because we never actually lived up to our principles of equal protection for all and equal opportunity. We never lived up to those principles, and if you don't live up to those principles, then you can't be great.
No, you're not.
Okay, I mean, I signed the same application as some white guy, Indian guy, I don't care who he is. If I sign an application, I'm getting a job too. So I don't know how we're not equal.
Like it actually getting a job highly depends on your sex and your race.
Sometimes even more than white applicants.
No,
We
it
have
does
actual
not.
How do you explain the fact that black applicants who have the same qualifications and sometimes even more than white applicants are still denied job opportunities? How do you explain that?
I don't know. Everybody that's black that
We
I
have
know,
research
they
that
get the
shows
job.
That's not what I asked
that
you,
when a
Fathom. That's not what I asked you.
black applicant and a white applicant and the black
Yeah,
applicant has
well,
the same
well, restate
qualifications,
your
meaning
question if you
experience.
reiterate it.
We have
degrees,
research
et cetera,
that shows that when a black applicant and a white applicant and the black applicant has the same qualifications, meaning experience, degrees, et cetera, they have the same qualifications, the same licenses, everything. Sometimes they have even more than the white applicant, and on average, they are still denied job opportunities. If getting a job wasn't dependent on race, how would you explain that?
Yeah. That is. I mean, you would have to bring up the fact, like it's literally the statistics.
Yeah, so
my
guy,
if you have that
saying
form,
that everybody
that
I
you
know
are
who
the
applies
your
gets a
source.
job doesn't actually answer
Because
what I
everyone
said.
I know who applies for a
How do you
job
explain
gets the
what I
job.
said?
A lot of
Because
people just don't want to work.
So my guy, simply saying that everybody I know who applies gets a job doesn't actually answer what I said. How do you explain what I said? Because if you would like to, you can swipe out and Google what I just said, and I bet you'll find a study.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Have you
Let's
actually
let's find that
what I just
study.
pointed out?
Yeah,
have
go
you
ahead.
Driving right
heard
now,
of it
which
or
is
looked into it?
I have a laptop. It's just sitting there. I'm a truck driver, so.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Have you actually, what I just pointed out, have you ever even heard of it or looked into
I'm
it?
talking about what I just pointed out.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
study
mean, I'm an
statistics that I just pointed
eyewitness.
out.
I'm in America.
Have you ever looked
Right.
into
I know you're an
all of this?
eyewitness. I
America.
also have a job. That's not what I'm
statistics
talking
that I
about.
pointed out.
I'm talking about
Have
what
you
I just pointed out,
looked
the study and the statistics that I just pointed out. Have you ever looked into, hold on, wait, listen.
Okay.
The study
When
and
you looked
the
into
statistics
hiring
that I pointed out,
discrimination, what did
have you
find?
actually looked into hiring discrimination? Have you ever looked into it?
Yes.
Okay. When you looked into hiring discrimination, what did you find?
No, wait. Jobs
I
don't
couldn't
call
finish
you
looking
right
because
after you
the
have
job
an
called
interview,
me back
right?
and I was hired.
They take at least a day or
That
two.
doesn't make any
What
sense.
I'm asking you is
I
that-
asked
what I'm
you.
asking is
No,
that-
wait.
what I'm asking you is
Jobs
that
don't
on your
call
own
you
free
right
time,
after you have an
when you
interview,
hop
right?
on
They
your
take
laptop,
at least a
Yes, they do.
they
They
take
call
at
you
least
back.
they take at least a day or two. What I'm asking you is that what I'm asking you is that on your own free time, when you hopped on your laptop and you Googled
so when you actually,
employment
on your own
discrimination,
free time,
studies on employment
after
discrimination,
work
have you
like
ever
that, and
done
you
that?
actually research employment discrimination, what did you
Yeah, I
find?
have.
Okay, so when you actually on your own free time, I mean after work or anything like that, and you actually research employment discrimination, what did you find?
I found that my phone said orientation is ready. So, like, bro.
Fathom. Hold on, Fathom. Are you trolling? Hold on, Fathom. Stop. Are you trolling me right now?
I'm not talking
No, I'm
about
not
that.
trolling you. I'm just telling you, you're a healthy black guy. Literally with a TikTok.
My guy, I have a job.
Right.
Okay, I have a job. I work in the insurance industry. I'm fine. I'm not talking about that. Fathom. Do you really want to have a serious conversation with me, or just want to play around?
I'm not talking
okay,
about
no,
where
I'm
you
just
got
being
your
honest.
job. I'm
Okay,
talking
no,
about
you're not being honest. You're not being honest. The reason why I say not being honest because I'm talking about your free time. I'm not talking about before your job. I'm not talking about when you got your job. I'm talking about at your job. I'm talking about when you're sitting home at your free time, not at work. Did you actually research employment discrimination? What did you find?
Well,
Bro, you're
not
lying.
much. Just
You
a couple of
are
reviews.
lying.
Probably some people who are
Because
mad at their
Okay,
job.
you're lying.
Who
You're lying
didn't
then.
like
when
their.
you Google
No, you're lying.
No, reviews.
employment
That's how reviews
discrimination,
go.
No, you're
the
lying.
first
You're
thing
lying.
that you're
It's
gonna
usually a
find
group.
Bro, you're
is a
lying.
study
job.
on
You
employment
are
discrimination.
lying.
So you're lying.
Because that when you Google employment discrimination, the first thing that you're gonna find is a study on employment discrimination. So you're lying.
Employment discrimination. The
That
first
was
thing
that.
you're gonna
Was it
find
that like that 5
is
years
equal
ago? Because that's the
opportunity
last time I didn't
commission.
have a job.
That's
Okay.
gonna define what
I
employment
think he's
discrimination is.
trolling.
That's the
Yeah,
first thing
he
you're
really
gonna
is.
find.
Employment
So if
discrimination.
you're telling me that
Employment
you just
discrimination. The
found
first thing you're gonna
reviews for
find
jobs, you're lying.
is equal opportunity commission. That's going to
Because I
define
just
what
Googled-
employment discrimination
hold on,
is.
hold on, shut
That's the
up.
first thing you're
I
going to
just
find.
Googled it now. I
So
just
if you're
Googled it
telling me
now,
that
and the
you just
first
found
thing I
reviews for
found
jobs,
was
you're lying.
Equal opportunity commission. Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
I mean,
Chaz,
Because
y'all
I just
do
Googled.
equal
Hold on.
opportunity.
Shut
Like,
up.
when you-
I just Googled it now. And the first thing I found
That's the first
was
thing I
equal
found.
opportunity
So when you say
commission.
that
Hey,
that you
bitch
found,
ass nigga, shut up.
reviews of
I just
jobs,
Googled it right
you're
now,
lying.
and the first thing I
Right.
found
That's
was
not
what is
confirmation.
employment discrimination. That's the first thing I found. So when you say that you found reviews of jobs, you're lying, right?
And to say that there's only a few reviews when there's millions of Black Americans that they have discrimination because they're Black, yeah, that's not true.
The most discrimination I had was literally a black manager that didn't want to hire me.
Okay,
I literally,
but
that's the most.
so because you had one encounter doesn't mean that there's people that have the same or less.
I need you to
That
actually
doesn't
be
make any
serious about this,
sense.
all right? And I
I have a
apologize for
question
my
for.
Like,
Hold on, Ella, can you just hold on for me real quick?
Yeah,
Can you just hold on for
sorry,
real quick? No problem. Fathom.
So
I need you to actually be serious about this, all right? And I apologize for my language before, but I need you to actually be
No, you
serious
don't have to
about this.
apologize for.
No. It was rude. So I'm apologizing for my language I had before.
All right.
No, that's just who you are.
No. I just apologize for my language I had before. I do get frustrated. I do get frustrated. So fathom. I do get frustrated when people are being disingenuous. All right, because you know you're being disingenuous. Because if you hold on, fathom. When you Google studies on employment discrimination, you are not going to find reviews. That's not what you're going to find. So if you say that, hold on, no. Listen, be quiet.
So
If you Google, you are not going to find job reviews. That's not what you're going to find. So if you say that, you are lying. I know you are, and you know you are. So you never actually looked this up.
I go to Yahoo and Reddit.
No, I don't. But you don't need to go to Yahoo and Reddit. You go to Google Scholar. That's what you go to. I know Reddit is popular. But that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. My guy. We're not talking about Yahoo reviews. We're not talking about Reddit reviews. Hold on. Fathom. So you didn't go to Google Scholar, which means you didn't actually research this.
Well, I mean, research is research.
What are you talking about?
If you wanted to know what Bugs Bunny looks like, you can find it on Reddit. You can find it on Yahoo.
Oh my god.
We're not talking about.
You'll know
Okay.
what it is.
All right, I'm about to drop you in a minute because it looks like you're trolling, bro. Are you trolling or you want to have?
You don't even know what trolling means.
Hold on. Do you want to troll or do you want to have a serious conversation?
Okay, so you want to play a pity party about being black.
Do you want to troll or do you want to have a serious conversation? Do you want to troll or have a serious conversation?
This is a very serious.
It's not a serious conversation because I'm talking about studies on employment discrimination, which is an actual thing that affects black people. And you're talking about Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, that's right. $1 billion industry.
All right. Does employment discrimination actually affect black people? Yes or no?
All right, so we're gonna move on.
Okay, so you're a liar and a fraud. Goodbye. Thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna move on to Lipsy and then Ella. Ella, you said you had a question for me.
What's up?
I did.
Sure. What was your question before I talk to Lipsy?
Well, it's about the third one, but if I think you should just talk to her first because it would probably get into a big conversation. So
Sure thing. Lipsy, how's it going? Are you at least 18?
It's going
And,
well. Yeah, I'm 29.
sure. And do you disagree with something I have on the board?
I only disagree with the first point. I do think there was a period where I could consider my country to be a great country, not necessarily my government, but I think that the 1960s and the 1970s, we saw Americans fight to overturn discrimination, to bring in the Civil Rights Act, and to protest against the Vietnam War to such an extent that we finally exited that war. And I do think that specific time period, the people of our nation were moral and they were great, and I think that as a whole that makes our nation great for that specific time period.
It wasn't great yet.
Yeah, so that specific time period is why I say that the country can be great, but it wasn't great yet. And the reason why it was is because we actually needed those protests to happen in order for us to get those opportunities and that equality, right? And even during that time, there were still states in this country where being a homosexual was illegal. You see what I'm saying? So like when we talk about greatness, that type of time also had massive discrimination against black and brown people, which is why the protests started in the first place. So even then, even though it was a revolutionary time, and like sure I can say that I agree with us going back to that fervor, back to that revolutionary time, and having as much passion that they had back then as we can have now, because we see what's happening now, right? I would still say that it wasn't great, even though the people were pushing it to be, and the country actually showed that it can be, but we just need more pushing for it to be. That's what I would say.
Well, I can understand that viewpoint. I somewhat argue that our government wasn't great during that time period, but the people themselves seemed to be yearning for overturning the archaic laws that were in effect, and we were yearning to not be at war and not harm our fellow man. And when I think of a country, I think of the people more so than the government. Like, for example, the people of Israel are great people. The government of Israel does a lot of heinous things. And likewise, I think the people of the United States are great people, but our government does a lot of heinous stuff. And I think during the 60s and 70s, like, the way even white Americans stood up and joined hands with black Americans, like, I thought that itself was beautiful and was a display that the people of our nation were great people, even if our government was failing us.
Because even at that point,
Yeah, I could see like the people being great, but the society still isn't, because even at that point, Martin Luther King was still the most hated man in America. You see what I'm saying? So, and we still had the Jim Crow South, and California was probably one of the most racist places you could ever be to. Despite that, the Black Panthers started there. We had students from Berkeley joining in with them. We had the Young Lords and the Young Patriots joining with the Black Panthers up in Chicago, but Chicago was still the most segregated city in the North. You see what I'm saying? So even though we had a revolutionary time, a revolutionary fervor, the society itself still had huge amounts of problems, which is why I'd say it shows the fact that we can be, because that time does show that. I agree with you. That time does show that we can do incredible things when we come together, but we just didn't get there yet. I think that's what I would say.
I can see where you're coming from. I definitely agree that our government was failing and that our laws undoubtedly had progress to make. But I will also say I feel like there's a lot of people from that specific era who made dramatic changes. Like you were speaking on Dr. King being the most hated man in America. Well, that's true. To be fair, I mean, JFK did take a bullet for overturning the civil rights issues, and so did Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy was shot by a documented racist, and there were a number of other assassinations across the spectrum, like Malcolm X and Dr. King. So I think like there's this, the people themselves got really upset about those things. And it's not quite like it is today. Today, I feel like the majority of my fellow Americans are bitter and angry towards each other and hateful towards each other. Reading about the 60s and 70s, I felt like the majority of Americans cared for one another, and it was a very vocal minority that was in charge.
Of course, you guys are going to done. So
Can I ask my question when you guys are done?
Coming from, right?
Of course. You guys are going to done. So yeah, let me see. I do see where you're coming from, right? But I think what our disconnect is that you're taking into account that there were good people who existed around that time that wanted things to change, that were doing things for us to change. But we have to understand that much of the society was forced to move forward. It didn't move forward forward on its own because they saw the social change. It was forced to be that way, and the party flipped, and the Goldwater Republicans, like we see today, who were completely against civil rights, and which is why the parties flipped over, the Southern Strategy, et cetera, et cetera. All those things shows that the people who were alive at that time were so bitter against the civil rights movement and black people gaining rights that they played the long game, and now we have Trump. You see what I'm saying? So that's what shows me that, because even though back then we made all those strides and we made all those concessions and everything like that, it shows that the undercurrent of our society still believed in basically the 1900s or the 1860s. You see what I'm saying? Because of all the progress that we made. Does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense, but I would also contest to some degree that you can't make that progress if the majority of the country doesn't want something to happen. I think back to an adage people talk about a lot. If all gun owners were the problem, it would be a lot more evident of an issue in America because we have so many gun owners. And if the majority of Americans were against overturning those issues, I don't think a lot of that progress and issues would have been achieved. So I mark the fact that they were as a sign that the majority of the people in our country did want to see that change.
Yeah, I would agree with that, right? A lot of us didn't want to see that change, or a lot of them were just apathetic. They didn't care if it changed or not. They just wanted it to get it over with. But the other problem that I see is that the changes that we had that did needed to be made were not enough because, for example, affirmative action was a thing that came through, right? But right after affirmative action came through, what started to happen? It didn't even the targets for the benefit didn't benefit more from it. It was more white women who benefit for it than black people who benefit from it. Even though we did benefit from it, it was white Americans who still benefited from it. And even after that, folks were still massively against it. The social beliefs about these changes and about these things were still negative. You see what I'm saying? So the undercurrent of discrimination is still there.
Absolutely, and I would agree that the undercurrent was still there, but I feel like we took a major step back in the 1980s versus like the 70s, because Jimmy Carter, even Nixon's administration, like the Republicans that were in Congress during Nixon's administration still held Nixon to some standard. And I feel like we saw a massive degradation of one party around the 1980s. The Republicans used to be, I know about the party switch, but they dramatically fell off on a number of their morals and values that they held up through the 70s. And I think that saw a dramatic decline for us once Reagan came into office.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll definitely agree with that. Give me a second, let's see. Elle, what was the question?
I have a two-part question for the third one. So, what would the Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
No, all good. I'll answer that question. Let me just go ahead and wrap up with Lipsy. All right, Lipsy, looks like we're gonna agree with most things. Just have a different perspective on how to agree on it. But I do appreciate the conversation, though.
Absolutely, my man. This was a lot of fun. If you want me to drop, I'll happily drop. If you want me to stay up, and we can do like three-way combo, up to you.
No, just drop for me for a second, but I do appreciate you.
So, the reparations, what would that entail? And then also, actually, no, just answer that question first, and then I have another question.
So reparations, there are several ways that it can look like. The most popular way is, of course, just cash. Another way, less popular way, is programs, and the other way is changing entire systems, which needs to happen regardless. So of course, the one that everyone is against and everyone is afraid of is cash reparations, and how to do it, which I understand the confusion around it and the concern around it because, the amount is astronomical, right? Anywhere from $10 to $50 trillion. That's astronomical. How exactly do we do that? Understandable. But the fact that the Japanese were able to get reparations, cash reparations, shows that it is possible. You know what I mean? We just need to figure out how exactly would it work.
Well, would that come from the government?
That would come from the government.
Okay. Then yeah, I would be okay with it because sometimes when people say it, it makes it seem like they're talking about taking it out of like people's cash dollars that are white, and I don't really agree with that. But if it's from the government, then I agree with it.
Yeah, it's gonna come from the government. Like, no one is gonna knock on the door of every single white person and said, "Here's a reparations bill." Like, that's not gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, so it's always kind of silly to me that people always are concerned about this. Like, that's not what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, Kay,
Okay, well, that's all I had to ask.
In the box,
Not a problem. Hey, I appreciate you.
We start bringing friendlies
Have
up.
a good one.
My
You
bad,
as
I
well.
did bring Coco up.
All right, Kay, I do see you in
Coco,
the
stay for me real quick. I
in the
do
box. I'm
appreciate
gonna bring you
being
up once
here.
we start
All right,
bringing
so
friendlies
quick
up.
commercial break. Let's go ahead and
My
keep
bad, I
liking
did bring
the
Coco
live
up.
and sharing it out.
But
Liking the
yeah,
live
Coco,
and
stay
sharing
for
it
me
out.
real
Yo,
quick.
I
I
do
do
appreciate
appreciate
that. Let's
you
try to get
being
us to
here.
10K
All right, y'all.
within the
Quick
next
commercial break.
5
Let's go ahead and
minutes.
keep liking the
We are
live
at
and sharing
3K
it out.
now. If we could
Liking
get
the live
10K
and
in the
sharing it
next
out.
5
Y'all, I
minutes,
do
I would
appreciate that. Let's
appreciate
try
it.
to
That
get us
would
to
be great.
10K
You guys
within
are
the next
wonderful. Keep
5 minutes.
bringing
We're
everybody
at
in.
3K
Keep
now.
liking
If
that
we could get to
live.
10K in the
All
next
right.
5 minutes, I would
I
appreciate
do
it.
not know
That
how
would
to
be
say this name
great.
because it's in
You guys are
Hebrew.
wonderful. Keep bringing
How do I say
everybody
your
in.
name with the
Keep
perfect
liking that
Swedish?
live. All right. I do not know how to say this name because it's in Hebrew. How do I say your name with the person with the Snoopy?
Okay, he dropped off. All right, not a problem. All right, Jake, how's it going, Jake? Jake, are
My
you
guy
at
with the
least
Snoopy.
18?
Yeah.
And do
Okay,
you
he
disagree
dropped
with
off.
something I have on the board?
All right, not a problem. All right, Jake, how's it going, Jake? Jake, are you at least 18?
I
And do
am.
you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, I'm 34, so don't worry. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with a few things you have on the board. I would say that America is currently great, has been great for a long time. I don't think that leftist policies are better in a lot of different ways. Don't agree with reparations, and then I won't really get into the other three below. But
All right, cool.
but I guess what I would start with listening to you is, are there any countries that
number one, I don't live in
you
those
would
countries,
say
so I
are
can't
great
really
right
tell
now,
you. But,
or
number two,
or
we're
have been
talking
great?
about America, so even if I couldn't
Probably
name
not
another one,
because
that would be relevant.
number one, I don't live in those countries, so I can't really tell you. But number two, we're talking about America, so even if I could name another one, that would be irrelevant.
Well, I was trying to understand what, great's a big word, right? It's all kinds of things. It's different meanings. There's all kinds of things going on in the world. So, I just would like to, what is great? I mean, I think it's great that we live in a country where we can sit around on a Saturday night and talk on TikTok, and people can do lives and make money and chill, and all kinds of different things that are going on in this world. It's safe in your home, in your neighborhood, and everything. Like, there's lots of reasons for it to believe it's great.
Can I do that in France?
Yeah, cool.
Can you do that in France? Yeah.
So that means France is great according to your logic.
I think that a lot of countries are great. I'm not saying,
cool.
Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of conversation over all the negatives, and I think it's hard to point to any country in the world that doesn't have a bunch of negatives. There's a bunch of negatives in France and Europe, anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So when we're talking about the American context, when we look at not just American history, but the effects of that history, and the fact that we refuse to face it and fix it and live up to the principles that we said that we should have, then that's not that shows that a lack of greatness, in my opinion.
So
like, for example, we wouldn't say that America was great in the 1830s, right? Because what existed in the 1830s?
Well, America was great in the 1830s because it's still there's still things that are great about that country at that time. Again,
Slavery's great?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are things about the country that were great at the time. People coming over to this country and installing a whole new government and figuring it out and putting the laws into place, and again, all these different things. I'm not saying it was the greatest time to live. I wouldn't want to live in the 1830s for all kinds of different reasons. Modern medicine, all these other different pieces that nobody talks about.
And slavery?
And slavery, sure. But I know that that's the focus, but I'm just saying that there is always a focus right now, it seems like, on what's negative in the country at that time, at this time, and everything, and so people can't see the parts of it that are great.
Is slavery great?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Right, so America protected and had slavery, so it can't be great.
So it can never be great ever again, or you just have to get a wad of cash and then it's...
It definitely can be great again. Yeah, or not even again. It definitely can be great. It just never has been.
It's not a great society.
So that's what I said. If we had a system of outright, objective chattel slavery, that's not a great society.
So right now,
Yeah,
like
actually,
to
yeah,
go back
yeah,
to some of
we,
your other
we'll be
points.
a
So
lot
if you were to
closer
get
because
reparations, is
reparations
the
would
country great?
be
Is it
more
made
than just a
up?
wad of
Are we
cash,
are we
like you
whole
said. It
again?
would be changing entire systems
Yeah, actually,
and
yeah,
ensuring that
we'll be a lot closer
opportunities are
because
equal across the
reparations
board.
would be more than just a wad of cash, like you said. It would be changing entire systems and ensuring that
Say that again.
opportunities are equal across the board.
So then the country will be great. Like I just want to.
Not your turn yet, Q.
Sorry,
that
yeah,
again?
Say that again.
yeah. I was saying that. So you're saying that though, but reparations would be pretty much would be there at great.
If we
That's kind of your
got
opinion.
reparations in a way that I would say
Say that
that
again?
we should have
If
reparations,
you
yeah,
if you got
we would have raise.
reparations, this would be great.
If we got reparations in a way that I would say that we should
I
have
said,
reparations, yeah, we
cash
would have
payments
greatness.
and change.
So you were mentioning just cash payments though for the most part, right? That's what earlier you were saying.
I said
housing
cash
system, the way
payments
we
and
do it,
changing
the way we
of
fund
entire
education
systems,
needs to
not just
change,
cash.
and
So
definitely the criminal justice
what kind of
system
systems need to
and
change? I
healthcare.
guess.
The housing system, the way we do, the way we fund education needs to change, and definitely the criminal justice system and healthcare.
Okay, well, I'll agree with you that I think that we've got plenty of problems in healthcare and plenty of problems in criminal justice and all that kind of stuff. I do agree. But again, I don't think that the country can't be viewed as great. I think that we live in a society here that we have all of these modern technologies, modern health, advancements. We have most people do live in a neighborhood that's safe and enough that they can go home. They're not going hungry every night. And if you want to compare to any other countries in the rest of the world, this is still one of your top countries to pick from compared to like the problems that they're facing everywhere else. And so, for people to try to pretend that like, greatness is just going to be this utopia of all time, like that there's nothing ever wrong, there's no problems, like it's just not, it's never going to happen. There's always going to be some problems.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that it's going to be problems. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we need to focus on actually living up to the principles that we set this country out to be. Correct?
Sorry, say that again.
I said that we should be at least attempting to live up to the principles that we set out to be. Correct?
Well, I think that that's something that you could talk about. You want to start pointing at politicians or somebody say they don't live up to it, then sure we can do that all day. But when you talk about the average American, I think that most of the average Americans do.
On opinions on
yeah, I'm here and there with that because if you actually look into like social statistics on opinions on people of other racial or ethnic or sexual or religious groups, you'll see a lot of bad, not very nice things there. Like for example, the last study that made that asked Christians and Muslims, can a person who does not believe in God be moral? 40% of Christians said no. So that's kind of a problem, don't you think?
I don't think that has anything to do with the country. I think that it's great that we live in a country where everybody can have differing opinions on religion. I don't want to live in a country where that only one religion is correct.
No, right. We shouldn't live in a country where only one religion is correct. But what I'm saying is that if we have a group of the majority religion in this country and almost half of them believe that I'm an immoral person, we're going to have some issues, aren't we?
Not necessarily. I mean, people just can believe different parts of the morality that come with their religion, right? So, an easy example is talking about abortion, right? That's so. There's a lot of Christians, Catholics, they feel one way, like, oh, if you're a different religion, you don't believe the same way I do, then you're not moral. Okay, so then you're going to answer that study and say, I don't believe those people are moral, but that doesn't mean that this country isn't great, that people can't have differing opinions or believe that this person's wrong about this thing. People have been fighting over religious aspects, morality and everything, again, the entire existence of humans. And so that's why I think it's just, you need to, take a step back and be like, I think this, this country is great and it could be better. Yeah, of course it can always be better. Everything can always be better. I just don't think there's a utopia.
Right. No, I'm not talking about a utopia. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think it's great at all. So like, I don't have a problem with people having different opinions on religion, right? That's fine. That's 100% okay, right? No one's saying that. What I'm talking about is, actually, can you give me a second? There we go. What I'm talking about is the fact that because we have this this belief of another good one I can give you is that black people, like young black men, even though they're the same height and the same build as young white men, a black teenager would be seen as not only stronger but also more criminal and also a lot older than his white counterpart, even if they're both a 6'1", 16-year-old teenager. You see what I'm saying? So that causes
Does that
issues.
change outside of America?
No, that's the problem.
So
hold on, wait, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that feeds into a lot of our social issues. If a black teenager who's completely innocent goes out there, but people believe that he's stronger, he's older, and he's a criminal, and he's wearing a hoodie, we're going to have a lot of the issues that we see around Black Lives Matter, aren't we? That's one of the issues why it started. When it goes back to the religion thing, when I said that most of them believe that we're immoral, if I'm an atheist person trying to go for office and I want to change some things that'll be better for my country. However, you have this Christian person who just simply says he's Christian, but he's a dickhead. What's going to happen? A lot of them are going to swing the other way just for the Christian, just because of that label, and he's a complete dickhead when I had the better ideas. These things feed into the social issues of our country. You feel what I'm saying? So we just can't toss them away like, oh, it's just difference of opinion. They have tangible results, especially for somebody like me who has been harassed before because of my skin color. You see what I'm saying? So like these have tangible issues, and we just can't just say, okay, difference of opinion is still great. Nah, bro. If we have a good percentage, or even a little bit more than half of people who believe that because of my skin color I'm a criminal or anything like that, that's a fucked up society to be in. You wouldn't think so?
I think that if we want to go into statistics, I think that people are looking at statistics on crime. If you're talking about that, you can point to all the systemic reasons for why the statistics are what they are. But we had a real problem with statistics in this country. Half the cities in the country don't even report statistics anymore to the FBI. Doesn't matter. So, again, like to what you said earlier, what I hear when we talk about was America great or was never great, is it great currently, all that, when you tell me that, if reparations are done, then we're pretty much there, then it sounds like you're only really focused on one particular issue in this country, and that's not looking at 90 some other % of the parts of the country that are great.
Excuse me. What parts of this country are great? Just our economy? Because anybody could be rich.
I think that the ability for anybody to get rich is the main goal that America has around the entire world. I mean, there's
we
no
don't
other
have that.
country. Sorry, what's that?
Anybody can be richer.
Absolutely, they can.
Being rich highly depends on your beginning socioeconomic status.
There's a correlation, obviously, but this is the only country in the world where you can come out here with no money and turn yourself into something and make money, and you can go, hell, how many people do you probably follow on this app that don't have any money? They TikTok from home, and now they started selling on TikTok Shop, and they're going to start making money, and then they can invest, and they can do whatever they want because this is a free country. I think
this is the only country where that happens.
I think there's a lot of countries out there that people that people think are great. And then, it costs $10,000 just to put in your bank account to start a business. It doesn't cost any money to start a business here in this country.
This is the only country where that happens?
It's one of the only countries where you can just freely start businesses. You can make as much money as you want. Our tax rate is low. All these things. I think that it's the wrong mindset to try to go in and tell people, and to tell your followers and tell people on live, nope, not everybody can get rich. It's the wrong mindset to come into the world.
But not everybody can get rich. Otherwise, we will have no poor people.
It's not that everybody is going to get rich. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you have the ability in this country to get rich. Everybody has the ability.
Right. We don't really have a meritocracy in this country, bro. We don't really have that.
We have an ability. If somebody works out towards actually, we have entrepreneurship is really the solution here. People don't get rich working, an hourly $10 an hour job.
Not everybody can be a businessman, bro. This is what I'm talking about.
You can't make everybody rich, but you have the ability to. Somebody can do these things. Somebody which can happen anywhere. We're not talking about the ability to start a business, but not everybody. But it happens here statistically
because we're first world. We're a first world country. We're the most powerful country on the planet. We're the most powerful country on the planet. When the UK was the most powerful country on the planet, what you said applied there too. When France was the most powerful country on the planet, what you said applied there too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it depends on what your power position in on the global scale. We're the most powerful country in the world. So yeah, majority of us are going to be starting businesses in about the mid 21st century, maybe about 2055. China is going to be the most powerful country in the world, and what you just said is going to apply there.
No, it's definitely not. It's absolutely not going to happen in China because China is communist, and you have no ability to start your own business there. They control your money. They can turn your money on and off. They can set times on it. So you can't.
Bro. What is Highway?
What?
What is Highway? Highway is a tech bug company in China.
So you think that you can go to China and anybody can just go get rich there? They killed every billionaire that they have, basically.
No,
right?
they didn't.
Okay,
There's still billionaires in China.
There's a few, and they're high up in the CCP and the government. So everybody in the country of China is not going to get rich. Now, a lot of them are going to get rich because they are manufacturing everything. You're going to have people over there that do, but you don't think that the government owns almost every one of their businesses. They have a percentage in every business, even TikTok.
No.
Everything I said is a fact.
No, it's not. They are private businesses in China. The state does have heavy regulation on businesses, but they don't own every single business.
I think you need to look into it more. They have an ownership percentage in any sort of business that's going out there. They control.
If I were to Google this right now and it says that you're wrong, what would you then say?
I would tell you that you're wrong because the point is that that you cannot do business outside of the country of China without the Chinese government taking a significant portion of it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So does the CCP own all Chinese companies? No, not every private company in China is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. So what you said is wrong.
Because you're taking a very, very broad statement there, but they are going.
You just said that they own every company.
I'm saying you cannot. Your point was you can get rich, and it's going to happen where everybody in China gets rich. My point is
not
that
what I said.
You cannot. Yes, it is.
Okay. Hold on. Let me clarify then. You said that it happens here in more than every other country,
yes,
where someone starts a business and they get rich. I said, yeah, it happens here more than every other country because we're the most powerful country in the world. When the UK was the most powerful country in the world, it happened there. When France was the most powerful country in the world, it happened there. China is going to be the most powerful country in the world in the mid-20th century. It's going to happen there. And then you said no because the CCP owns every company.
And and anybody that makes too much money in China ends up getting killed. I think you need to understand what
they don't kill their billionaires just for making a lot of money, bro. They kill them.
You can Google that. How many Chinese billionaires have gotten killed over the past 10 years?
All right.
You're allowed to make money if you're not a dissenter.
All right, Q, go ahead, Q.
I'm sorry.
I'll let you get going. No, it was a good convo.
Yeah, Jake, God, there's a lot I want to respond to. So yeah, about the CCP and China and all that. Yeah, you're just completely wrong. They don't own 100% stake in everything, and they do not murder every quote unquote billionaire or whatever else. That's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like that's propaganda.
They murdered dissenters to the Communist Party. That's true.
Yes, that is true, but I mean that's very different.
It is.
As far as reparations, Jake, I just want to ask, you understand the concept of investment, right?
Sure.
All right, so say you had a system in society that, detrimented a certain population, right, where they weren't able to make the equal investments of another population. Reparations would be trying to make up for that disadvantage, which historically has shown that, certain groups of Americans, such as Black Americans, have been disadvantaged by the ability or the lack of that ability to engage in that same investment.
Do you feel like we don't? We spend quite a bit of money in the Black community when it comes to reparations, when it comes to housing, when it comes to social programs.
Hey, Jake, hold on. Just pause me real quick. Right. Jake, what money do we spend in the Black community to fix the housing issue, to fix redlining? What money do we spend there? What program?
Well, redlining's been illegal for many decades.
I understand that, but that's not what I asked you. What I asked you is, what money do we spend to actually rectify that situation?
The public housing system that we have, Section 8, all project housing that we've had, which I think project
Section
housing
8, Section 8 is supposed to address redlining or just housing itself?
Well, the Section 8 voucher program that's come out that allows people to move around more freely.
Jake, I need you to actually answer my question. Does Section 8 actually address redlining, or does it simply address housing in general?
Okay, like I said, redlining has been illegal for decades.
You're not answering my question, Jake.
That is directly
no, it's not. Redlining was something that targeted black people. When I asked you if we addressed that, you brought up Section 8. Section 8 does not address redlining.
If you get a voucher that says you can use it in a Section 8 house, but Section 8 housing
does
now
not
expanded,
address redlining.
So now Section 8 housing has expanded to, if you have a voucher, you do not have to stay in a specific area. How does that not address redlining? Is illegal?
It does. Hold on, Jake. I can answer that, right? Because the reason why it doesn't address redlining is because guess what? Anyone who was in poverty and apply for Section 8 is able to be on Section 8, right? So it doesn't actually target the redline community, does it?
Again, redlining is illegal.
Hold on, Jake. Listen, Jake. Please answer this question.
I am.
When Section 8 was started, was it targeted towards communities who were redlined, or did it simply try to target housing costs in general? Which one did it do? It was housing in general. That's what they did.
That's what it was for originally.
Right. It was housing in general. It was not to target redline communities. They didn't start Section 8 to solve the redlining issue in Chicago or in Baltimore or in Detroit or in St. Louis. That's not what Section 8 started for.
So if you go back to redlining issue,
I'm not too familiar with that. Could you give a bit more context as to like how redlining is affecting people in these areas?
The way redline affects people in those areas is that basically it was illegal for banks and even insurance companies to give out loans and to insure communities where majority black people lived. What that did was that caused less government investment into these communities, via infrastructure, via grocery stores, et cetera, et cetera.
I understand.
It also
a follow-up question: Is this happened post Civil Rights Act?
This happened post Civil Rights.
Was it ever taken to the Supreme Court?
I think an important concept here. We're talking about the past, right? But I think an important thing here is that this actually occurs right now in our current society. So you all have car insurance, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so as of now, if you are a black American, you face higher insurance rates compared to white Americans.
Correct.
No. You cannot. Again, and I'm going to go back because I don't think anyone's listening.
Wait.
1968 redlining has been illegal for 50, 60 years.
This is why. Hang on. This is why I want to address this, because you were talking about this as if it was a past thing. The reason that black Americans face higher insurance rates than white Americans is due to factors such as redlining. There are factors like and like insurance. The way that they justify it is that they can say there's a high risk for geographic location, socioeconomic disparities, and other biases within the industry. The only relevant factor to it is the skin color of the individual, but they can justify it, and it doesn't go to court because it is considered justifiable or reasonable, but it is still racist.
What's the justification?
And that's
Hey, everybody pause real quick. Jake, I want to ask you a question. Jake and what was his name? Extremely. I want to ask you both the question. Does history happen in a vacuum?
No, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. But when you start telling me about asking me a question about redlining specifically,
what is the vacuum? Everybody pause. Jake, that's not. Hold on. So when I ask you, does history happen in a vacuum? You agree with me that history doesn't happen in a vacuum, which means that redlining still affects us today, correct?
I don't know what you mean by vacuum.
And hold on, y'all. So Jake, hi, Velcy. Before I go, hi. So Jake, just for clarification, I'm a Black American, so I'm gonna be speaking to this. Specifically because we're talking about redlining. Currently, and it has been for decades, there is a okay, I'm gonna mute you. Oh, you beat me to it, Rosie. There is a disparity between the wealth gap between Black families, specifically ethnic Black American families, and white American families. And that is also due to redlining. Now, there's many reasons for that, but a part of that reason is due to redlining. Because of those redlining policies, Black Americans were not able to acquire generational wealth to pass down to their children, and it's not relevant. We know it's illegal. The issue is that because that has happened, the impacts of the after effects of redlining still exist within the Black American community, and that cannot be denied.
In the past and that do affect the future. That's not the argument I'm making. What I'm trying to say is that it
affects not just the future, it's affecting the present.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. My point is that when you talk about these programs, like we started this conversation on reparations and everything, and specifically about housing. My point was that we've spent an awful lot of money doing housing projects, and like you said, redlining and putting. I think that one of the biggest problems this country had is Chicago projects and putting people in specific areas and then giving them free housing in that area and then not investing in that area entirely. I completely agree with all of that. And then that
hold on, let me get this, but also let me just name this point. Because this is also the thing, right? Because I'm from Philly, right? So I come from Chicago and Philly are two different cities, but similar situation. My family is also from Memphis, so my grandparents also went through the Jim Crow period. So I have direct connections to this. I actually have family members that went through redlining in Memphis back in the 70s before my family came to Pennsylvania. So this is actually something that actually happened directly to my family. That's also part of the reason why my family came up north is because of redlining. So the whole reparations thing, right? Back to the reparations thing, right? Because Volsi has said, Section 8 housing is just for people that are, are just for everyone that, that is struggling, with poverty and stuff like that, right? It's not directly, targeting, the after effects of redlining because those things, because again, it's just anyone who is struggling with poverty.
But wouldn't you guys say that those programs are predominantly those programs are predominantly used by Black Americans for the past 70 years?
No, actually, they're not.
They're not.
But
actually, they're not.
Percentage. So you don't think that
not percentage-wise? No, they're not. Actually, the people who benefit from Section 8 and government programs the most are actually white Americans, white women specifically.
Hey, Jake,
that's actually not true.
Jake, earlier I asked you if you understood investment, and you said yes, right?
Sure.
Okay. So let's say 7 decades ago, everybody was given an equal opportunity to invest in their family and their well-being, right? But then we took that away from a certain group of people. Would it not make sense for the government right now to invest financially into those individuals, into that group of people that we took that opportunity away from so that they could, I don't know, invest and get on equal ground?
So
why would we not do that? I guess is what I'm saying.
Do you not feel like any of the programs that we've used over the past 70 years that like when you talk about things like affirmative action and you talk about all of the
but Jake, we're talking about we're talking about very deeply rooted systemic issues which are not easily resolved, right? So like yes, is affirmative action a great thing? Yes, I completely agree.
Well, before
is it the whole answer? It isn't. Right. I mean, I think at the root of America is a cultural issue, right? We need to resolve the culture of racism in the U.S. I'm not really speaking on that. What I'm saying is like what the government can do right now to make things right for the past.
But
and that would be
does
one
it make
step
things right? Is everybody going to be happy if everybody gets a check for $10,000?
I'm not saying everybody, but you're shifting goalposts, right? I'm not saying everybody's going to be I'm saying that is just what is right. Based on our history.
Hold on, Q.
We have to.
Hold on, give me a second.
Really have to acknowledge the fact that America is not and was not a great place for a lot of Americans. And we really need to confront that head on because that is the only way that we will ever make it a great place for all Americans.
Q, can you pause me real quick?
Just pause for a second. So I'm like, so Jake, so just for clarification, do you think that reparations would only come in the form of a check? Because that's one way it would. I think it should happen, but I actually do not think that is the only part of reparations that should happen. So is that what you think that Black Americans who are advocating for reparations, do you think we are only advocating for a check?
So we had this conversation like 20 minutes ago. That when we were talking about it, the conversation was that would be a big part of it, and then I haven't really heard any other specific details.
Well, Volsi did mention some specifics, but let me go in a little bit deeper.
I appreciate the hat mustache.
I'm like, oh, come on, Volsi, with your embrace your little Afro Mexican, yeah. I'm like, sis, what do you speak Espanol? Well, Haitians are technically Latino. That's a whole other thing.
Technically Latino, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, it's a whole other thing. Yeah, but Jake, I said several things repeatedly. I said systemic changes as well, so it wasn't just checks.
Systemic changes, but Volsi, let me actually go over some of those systemic changes.
Sure. What does that mean? Systemic changes.
Okay, so let me actually go over that, right? So let me just let me make this clear. So for example, reparations would be for ethnic Black Americans, right? So just for clarification, because I don't think you know, Volsi is Haitian. Both of his parents are from Haiti. He would actually, so although he's advocating for reparations, Volsi would not directly benefit from it. I would. That would be benefiting because I am actually, I'm like an ethnic Black American. So as far as like the systemic changes, one of them would be the criminal justice system. So restructuring what criminal justice looks like. One of them would be education, housing, and medical care. Health care is a big one, especially for Black American women, because there is, I don't know if there was a video that came out on this app just not that long ago. In the issue that I'm about to bring up. So Black women in the United States, due to medical racism, are actually more likely to be unalived, and Black children, who are Black newborn children, are actually more likely to be unalived because of medical racism and systemic misogyny within the medical system. There was actually just a woman. That she was up in Dallas. I think it was Mesquite, Texas. It was Mesquite, not Dallas. But there was just a video of a Black woman who, as she was giving birth, the nurse is literally ignoring her and her pain. So it's situations like that would be also to rectify that, maybe to get more training and to get those biases that a lot of medical professionals have around the pain tolerance, quote quote, that Black people have, because even today, there are people and literal people in healthcare that actually believe that Black people are actually have a higher pain tolerance than white people, and that leads to unaliving. So it would be restructuring the medical healthcare system. It would be housing. It would be education, and it would be the criminal justice system, along with a check. I also think that areas that have historically been redlined, that should there should be programs put into those areas. Volsi and I had talked about that in the past, specifically trades for Black American children to be able to receive while they're in high school, until they can leave high school with a trade. So those are like some of the ways that Volsi and I have talked about on previous lives, how we think reparations should go.
So I'll address some of them. One, again, you guys live in different cities than I do. I live in Tampa. I see a lot of the programs that you're speaking about when it comes to trade programs being put into these type of communities to like fully invest into the future of the children that going through on the education side. I see a lot of investment. Again, I can't speak to every city. There's probably a lot, some that are a lot worse. Then when it comes to healthcare, I think that we got all kinds of problems with healthcare, right? I think that it's not specifically to Black women or anybody in particular. Are there worse rates and everything? I'm sure we can go dive into that, but I think that there's plenty of problems up and down the healthcare system that we.
No, I don't necessarily disagree that there are problems up and down the healthcare system, but one of them is racial, because there's stats on this. There's also a history about this that also ties to slavery, because the father of gynecology, you would not notice because you're a man, obviously, but the father of gynecology, he actually experimented on enslaved Black American women with no anesthesia, because he believed that Black women could tolerate more pain than white women. And that is actually, and that belief still persists today.
To this day, yeah. That's where the myth actually came from. It came from him. And he was like experimenting on enslaved women, saying that, since they're stronger than white women, they can take the pain. So that's why we have a lot of the issues that we have today in the healthcare field, with Black women dying at a higher rate, having a higher infant
also
mortality.
leads to us being more masculinized than white women, and having our femininity stripped from us, and our humanity and our womanhood. So there is a lot of different things, but one of them is healthcare. Yes.
So and again, I'm somebody who believes very strongly in the food that we eat being the biggest problem in our healthcare system, especially in America. If there's one big
you don't have any argument from us here.
No argument there. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Do agree. But yes, I absolutely agree.
And then you end up in poor neighborhoods, everything like that. Like, look, there's bad food. I'm not here to argue with you guys about that at all. When it comes to the criminal justice system, again, there's a lot of different reforms we can sit around and talk about all the different things. Guys, you don't know me, but I worked here in Florida to allow felons voting rights back in 2018. We got that done in the state of Florida, right? So there's plenty of reform that can be done. I think that where you lose a lot of people on the reparations conversation is when you start talking about handing out checks, and to say that there has not been an attempt in a lot of cities, in counties and states to make quote unquote reparations in different formats that do not just equal a check, right?
So here's what I would say to that, Jake. Number one, we've done checks before already with the Japanese. No one complained. You know what I mean? And even to this day, a lot of people don't even know that, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'll be against it now." But there's already precedence for this.
The Jewish community here in the United States has received in America. Now, don't quote. I could actually be wrong about this. I would have to re-look into my history book, but I don't think what can I say? Is there TikTok? Can I say that word?
I think that's why I've been getting shadow banned, because we've been using a lot of those words. But yeah, let's take the Holocaust.
The Holocaust. Okay, yeah, the Holocaust. happened in Germany, and even I'm like in America. You could quote me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100%, but I have been told that the Shmooish, I'll say Shmooish, the Shmooish community has received reparations from the United States. Also, fun fact, the Schmolokos that happened within Germany, and when that happened, guess what they were getting? What laid the blueprint for that? They were taking notes from what was happening in America. In 1940s to Black Americans.
Just to clarify on that money did come from Germany, not from the United States government.
Okay,
So, yeah,
okay, that's fine. I'm like, that's fine. Like I said, I wasn't 100%.
Yeah, I wasn't percent sure either. But yeah, so these are some of the things that that we would say that should go into reparations, not just cash, but all of these other things that we're talking about.
Cash should be a part of it.
Cash should be a part of it.
I do think cash should be a part of it. And it would be on multiple harms that had been done. One, it's not the only thing, but one would be chattel slavery that happened within the United States. The other would be black codes. The other would be the Jim Crow era of the United States. The other would be redlining, medical racism, the criminal justice system, and so forth. So it would be based on the harms that have been done to the Black American community.
No way. Does that make more sense, Jake? Hold on, my mind. I'm gonna get you in a second. My mind, I know, but I just want to wrap up with Jake first.
Yeah, no, I understand what you guys are saying. Look, I'm going to keep disagreeing that I think that we should be giving cash payments out. I think that what I've seen in local governments trying to tackle this and everything, it becomes extremely problematic. Even you guys touched on whether Black Americans, can you trace a direct path to someone that was affected in your family, all of that kind of stuff. I think it's very
can.
Again, some people can, but there's still plenty of people who can't.
No, every Black American, you can trace that you're a descendant of chattel slavery in the United States. Now, it will, because here's the thing, right? After slavery was abolished within the United States, Black people would be on the census. Now, before 1865, Black people that were enslaved, right, would not be on the census because Black people were seen as 3/5 of a human. So, but at post 1865, you would be able to trace that your family was here prior to the civil rights movement.
I think where you lose me and a lot of people in this conversation is that there are a lot of us who are younger. We were not alive during any of these times. Our parents may not have even been in the country at this time. And yet, we're the ones that are paying taxes to our government. We're $37 trillion in debt. We got all kinds of problems up there. And ultimately, the payments are now put on 2 or 3 or 4 generations. And you have younger Americans that are having all these problems, and they're going, wait, what do you mean I'm going to pay reparations towards in a cash payment?
No, it wouldn't even come. No, it wouldn't come from. It would come from the United States government.
But they get their money from us, and they get our money. They get their money through our taxes, and we are ultimately the ones paying for it.
Do you know how money is made?
So Jake, don't we pay taxes as well?
Well, that's up to who's what income bracket you're talking about. I mean, would you give reparations to somebody, a Black American who's making $500,000 a year, or would people come in and say?
Yes.
Well, it would. Volsi says yes, but Volsi wouldn't be the one. It would be the United States. But let's put it plainly. Volsi, like I said earlier, Volsi is a first generation Haitian American. Volsi would not get it because he's not a descendant of chattel slavery. So even though Volsi would not receive does not have a reparations claim because neither of his parents are Black American. Both of his parents came from Haiti.
But I think that he's a single person who would agree on that. But I think that if you were to take this conversation to a national level, there are a lot of Black Americans who would argue, well, I still experience these things as a Black American in 2025, and so I deserve them too. And that's a conversation,
right. So,
an argument that happens within the Black community.
Right. That's a conversation that can happen within the Black community, right? And then I've actually heard there could be tiered reparations. Like we start off with Black Americans first, and then everyone else who had a harm can see what we can do there, and they can get programs, et cetera, et cetera. But the main argument is that Black Americans 100% deserve them. That's in my opinion.
I'm like, and we do deserve them. Not only because of the harm that's been done, but also because of the oppression that Black Americans have received. There are wealth gaps between Black American families and white families, not because of us not working hard, but because of systematic issues that we have experienced that have literally stifled the Black Americans' ability to gain and sustain wealth within this country.
Can you pause for me real quick, Kay? I'm sorry, Kay, can you pause for me real quick? All right, y'all. We're at 9.3K likes right now. Go ahead and keep tapping that screen, y'all. We are trying to get more people in here to go ahead and have these discussions. You can follow me on YouTube. Same thing, Volsy Thoughts. Shout out to everybody who's watching me on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. We are going to keep the conversation rolling. I appreciate y'all. Keep hitting those likes. Let's get us to 10K, and I appreciate y'all for being here. Jake, I know this is a lot of information, and we've been up here for a while. Let's go ahead and wrap up though, okay? Because I want to get to my mind.
Yeah, we
and
gotta
Shaka,
get some
but
more
I do appreciate you though, Jake.
Into the forum.
Yeah,
but
don't think I don't appreciate you, Jake. I do
here.
appreciate you actually coming up here and speaking and having a good conversation with us. All right.
No problem, guys. Anytime.
All right. Yeah, have a good one now.
All right.
All right, Jake. Have a good one. All right. So my mind. I promise I'm gonna get to you next.
Mind?
Yeah, it's gonna be my mind and then Shaka next. My mind, I'm gonna get to you. I'm sorry we haven't gotten to you yet, but I do appreciate y'all. Ollie, I'm gonna bring you up in a minute. I do appreciate you. Chud, if you would like to come up, go ahead and come up. Once again, y'all, keep tapping that screen. Let's keep tapping that screen. Let's try to get us to 10K. I appreciate everybody who's watching right now. I do have a gift goal. I appreciate you for getting me halfway, and I do have a subscription goal. It's $9.99. I don't know why TikTok changed the tiers. It used to be only $2, but TikTok changed everything. So we'll go ahead and see why that is. All right, my mind. How's it going, bro? It's your time to shine. Are you at least 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, I'm actually quite a bit older than 18, man. But I disagree with a lot of the stuff you have up there, especially the last thing you were talking about, the last guy, reparations. I mean, man, I grew up within the Black community. I grew up around the hood. I grew up in the hood in less fortunate areas.
Okay.
So, what does that have to do with reparations?
Reparations, yeah. Actually, go ahead and pick one of the things. If you want to start with reparations, we can do that. But go ahead and pick one of the things, and we can go down the line.
Sure, you can start with reparations.
All right, that's gonna be our longest one. I'm just tell you right now. But okay, so you grew up in the hood, irrelevant. Black Americans still deserve reparations. So, Black Americans deserve reparations not only. I'm sorry, I'm gonna mute you for a second. That's background noise. All right, so reparations, not only for slavery, but also for Black codes, for Jim Crow, for redlining as well, right? Especially for redlining, because redlining was the thing that caused Black Americans to not be able to ascertain or obtain the type of wealth that the average white American family has, and that affects the education system in Black areas. That affects the food in Black areas as well, because grocery stores run around the area. That affects insurance rates. That affects what else? That even affects cognitive abilities. You know what I mean? That affects health. That affects crime as well. You see what I'm saying? So the repairing reparations for Black Americans will not only address all of these things, but just ultimately, it's the right thing to do, because it was promised to them after slavery. They actually did get it, and then it was taken away by Andrew Jackson because he was a racist. So let's fulfill the promise that we made towards Black Americans and actually repair that community. Why not agree with that?
Okay, well, like I said before, no way, Jose. My family, they grew up in the same conditions that your people grew up in, with the redlining and stuff like that.
What is your race and ethnicity?
That's irrelevant, my friend.
I'm white.
No, you're white, so no, you did not grow up within the same conditions.
Definitely did.
Your family...
My family was in that community.
All right,
you growing up in the community and around Black people is irrelevant.
That's
irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
Still benefit from the system.
Right.
So
my
you did not grow up with the same conditions.
So my mind. That is irrelevant, my friend. That's irrelevant. Well, what I'm asking you is, because of all the conditions that Black Americans went through, all these issues, and the fact that they were deliberately held back from obtaining wealth in this country, deliberately targeted. They were deliberately done that. Why shouldn't we fix that issue? Why not?
Well, Volsy, I have a few words for you. Fucking work harder. You guys are complaining.
Oh, yeah, no, we're not going to say that pick them up by the bootstrap shit and act like Black Americans are lazy, because that's not true. It has nothing to do
It has nothing
with
to do
Black
with
Americans
laziness.
working hard.
I'm not saying
It has nothing to do
So
with
my mind. Let me ask you a question. When the Japanese were giving reparations because of the internment camps, should they have just worked harder to not be in an internment camp? Are you kidding me right now?
That's
like, be for real.
Hold on, wait, hold on. No,
like,
it's not different.
Like, my mind, do not piss me off.
Yeah, so my mind is not different. Yes, the Japanese were kept in internment camps. You can't say it's different now, all right? Because, like, at the end of the day, Black Americans were deliberately kept from obtaining wealth, deliberately. Their communities were destroyed when they did obtain wealth. So you say they should just work harder to not have.
Literally destroyed by white tea supremacists. Like,
so,
what are you talking about?
So you're saying that they should just work harder to not have their communities destroyed? Are you kidding me?
I mean, now we're living in 2025. I mean, you guys are the second biggest.
Dude, so because we're in 2025 means that Black Americans don't experience racism.
All right, so my mind. My mind. Let me ask you a question. My mind. Hold on, my mind. Let me ask you a question. Does history happen in a vacuum?
I need you to explain that a little bit.
What that means is that the past affects the present. Correct or incorrect?
Sure, but we progress so
right.
far.
So if the past affects the present, then if we have a past of racism in this country and a past of Black Americans being deliberately kept from wealth and a present racism, exactly, and we have a history of Black Americans deliberately being kept from wealth, what makes you think that they just need to work harder in order to gain wealth? You can't work harder to matching white people of $100,000. It doesn't work that way, because at the end of the day, all that wealth that they obtained came from owning homes, and Black Americans were kept from owning homes. And when they did own homes, they had higher interest rates, and the value of those homes did not get as high as a value as white homes because of what? Simply because they were Black.
Redlining.
Because of redlining. You do not work your way harder out of that.
And guess what? When Black Americans were able to progress further, not only redlining happened, but also white tea supremacists, such as the Triple K, destroyed those homes as well. Literally came into flourishing Black communities and set it on fire.
I'd like to say something here. America is a powerhouse that it is today because of 400 years of free labor. Okay, America can do the things that it does today because of free labor. Okay, and second of all, my mind, if you grew up in the hood after you've had a 400-year head start, then it's you.
No, it's his problem, absolutely.
It's your problem.
You had a 400-year
I'm like, that's why I do not feel bad for poor whites now. I just refuse to feel bad.
You guys gotta get your shit together and fucking move to a white community or something instead of bitching and moaning all day.
Yeah,
my mind.
Literally, have you ever heard of Jim Crow? My mind. Black people, it is literally in the last 50 years that Black people and white people could even live in the same neighborhoods. Do you know that for over 100 years, pre-1965, it was literally illegal for Black people to literally drink from the same water fountain or walk on the same side of the street as a white person? What are you talking about? Like, this has nothing to do with our work.
Ms. KK, can I say this?
My mind. Disagreeers. Wow.
My mind.
Man. What?
My mind. If what's going on in your family has been left behind and you weren't pulled in the fold, you weren't pulled in the fold with the rest of the white people that was making money, so you were seen as white trash.
Buddy,
you are the trailer trash, and you should have pulled your boots up by your bootstraps.
Oh, I did, man. I definitely did, and that's what I wanted to get to.
Hold on, my mind. I just want to say that Joey, first of all, Jim Crow laws were primarily in the South, but they didn't only exist in the South. The North has been very, and I know this because I grew up in the North. Okay, I can tell you that black and white communities, even in the North right now, are segregated. Like literally. So that's irrelevant. Also, all Black Americans, right? Because of the history of the United States, all of us have our roots are in the South. Mine are in Tennessee. All Black Americans were enslaved in the South. All of us have roots in the South. So when we're talking about Jim Crow, yes, that did affect all Black Americans. The reason that you have a Black community within the North is literally because of Black Americans trying to flee Jim Crow in the South. Have you ever heard of? I'm gonna need y'all to look up the Great Migration. Like I'm gonna need y'all to know what y'all are talking about.
So everybody pause for me real quick. All right. So number one, everything that Kay said, and number two, Josie, I don't like to go to comments. So I've invited you up several times. So stop crashing out in the comments, bitching and moaning. Actually come up and have the conversation, because you're just complaining in the comments now. So I've invited you several times to have the conversation so we can actually explain this to you intellectually.
No, I didn't say Jim Crow was everywhere.
I said Jim
Crow primarily
was in the South. So you're lying. And the second thing that I was going to say, Josie, is that just because Jim Crow was only in the South does not mean everywhere else wasn't racist. California and Chicago were one of the most racist places you can ever go to. California today is still one of the most racist places you can ever go to, despite it being a so-called blue state.
Don't even get into. Let's not even talk about the colorism from the dark-skinned girlies experience in California. Do we really want to have a conversation?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm gonna invite you once again, Josie. So I accept the invite and actually have the conversation with us. All right. So back to my mind. I understand that there are people who are poor and that either come to this country or start off poor in this country and are able to succeed and step their way up. That's all good and well. That's fine. We're not talking about individuals. We're talking about communities. The community as a whole, as you admitted, my mind, was kept back deliberately. So I'm asking you, why shouldn't we rectify that situation? Why shouldn't we do that?
Because honestly, if you want me to tell the fucking truth, I don't want my tax money going to you guys.
All right, so hold on. So my mind, yeah, it wouldn't go even go to me. But the second thing is that our tax. Why would you not want your tax dollars in order to fix a community that would actually be an advantage towards America? Why shouldn't we invest in a community that will actually do great things for this country? Why shouldn't we do that?
Because in 2025, you don't have these issues.
Hey, my mind. Hold on.
We don't have race issues in 2025?
We definitely have race issues in 2025. So, my mind, hold on. Listen, my mind. Listen to this. Because of the Black community is because we have basically the majority of the culture that we have in this country today. Rock and roll, hip-hop, jazz, rap. Those are some of the most important things that America has ever done. It came from the Black community. The sports that we have today, sports would be very fucking boring if we didn't have the Black community. Some of the best inventions that we have today, matter of fact, what you're speaking to me right now is through GPS. GPS was created, or the math for it was created by who? A Black woman. So it shows that some of the most important inventions...
A Black American woman specifically.
A Black American woman specifically. So it shows that the Black American community has a huge amount of potential. So why shouldn't we invest in them to rectify the situation?
A Black American woman's sales is literally being used against her family's wishes and not even being paid for it to advance American medicine. Henrietta Lacks's literal sales are being used to advance American medicine as we speak.
Yeah, exactly. So advances in math came from Black Americans. Advancements in science came from Black Americans. Advancements in the arts, especially, came from Black Americans. So it shows that this country should invest into this community because they were held back for so long, and they did all this while being held back. So if they can do all that while being held back, think about what they can do if they were properly invested into. Why shouldn't we do that, my mind, to make this country incredible? Why shouldn't we do that?
Before you speak my mind, no one said that all races haven't invented important things. Like,
no one said anything about superiority.
We're talking about specifically the things that Black Americans have invented. And if you have a problem with that, it's because you have a superiority complex.
Yeah, so no one said anything about superiority. So that came out of nowhere. No one knows what the hell you're talking about. It's crazy how we whenever we big up black people, whenever we say look at these great things that black people have done, people start talking about superiority. No one said anything about superiority.
I'm like, and it's projection because it's them that has superiority complex. It's projection.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and go back. Yeah, I'm sorry, Shaka. Let me just go back to my mind. All right, so my mind. Just to reiterate, because I know that was a lot that happened. So just to reiterate, Black Americans were deliberately kept back from this country. However, they've also contributed to this country significantly. The entire realm of American art came from Black Americans. Everything. Sports, music, all of it. You know what I'm saying?
To every war that America has ever had, Black Americans have fought in.
Exactly.
So there's that.
And not only that, the advances that we've had in science and mathematics, Black Americans contributed significantly to it while being deliberately held back. So because they're deliberately held back, why don't we rectify that situation by saying let's invest in this community to make up for the fact that we deliberately held them back? Why not do that, my mind? Let me know.
You're okay to go ahead, my mind.
Oh yeah, I am. Because I'll say it again. You cannot, and I promise you that you can't. You can't name that not one policy or law affecting the black community today negatively.
We can name several, actually.
Preventing them from fucking getting their shit together and getting out of the hood like I did.
So, you realize that a lot of black people...
over some of the policies that are affecting the Black American community today. We ready to go over those?
It's really like a culture thing, I feel like. It's a culture thing. You guys like it.
Oh, okay. What about... Hold on. Let's get into that. So, my mind, where does culture come from? Because I love when people bring up culture. I love when people bring that up because it really shows where their mind is at. My mind, where does culture come from? Does it come from your environment or does it come from you internally? Where does it come from? I don't want anyone else to answer this question except for my mind.
Let me get my tablet real quick because let's define culture as well.
Yeah, we can define culture. What's up, Coco? What's up, Rodney? I do see y'all up there. Just give me a few moments, all right? I'm get to y'all. So,
what's up, big brother? How you doing? Interruptions earlier. I was like trying to jump in, but my bad if I was interrupting people.
No, all good.
Oh, no, it's fine. Hi, Coco.
Good to see you, Kay.
Hi, Bookie. How you been?
So, my mind, I'm gonna take you off of mute, or you can come off mute now. So, my mind, I don't want anyone else to answer this question. Let him answer it. So, my mind, where does culture come from? Does it come from you internally, or does it come from your environment? Where does it come from?
Environment.
It comes from your environment, exactly. Cool. So if you know culture comes from your environment, and Black Americans were deliberately put into a negative environment, do you think that's going to feed into cultural issues?
I mean, you like it.
Right. So that means that we should actually repair the environment, correct? What do we do to repair the environment?
Start defending.
We give them reparations. Thanks for agreeing with me. Woohoo! So we agreed that we're reparations, my mind. So how do you think reparations should look like, since you agree with reparations?
Well, I think reparations should really look like you guys getting the fuck out of my country. That's what they're showing.
Yeah, we all knew that was coming.
You can get the fuck off.
Yeah, we all knew that was coming. The moment he said culture, I knew where that was going.
As a Black American, my enslaved ancestors built the country. So how about the fuck you get out, bitch? Okay.
Oh boy.
But let me turn on my camera because I got my tablet and I want us to define culture. Yes.
I'm starting to realize there's no understanding in these people, like none. Like,
none at all.
So none whatsoever.
Can you put me on the big screen, Volcy? Hold on.
I'm not even sure how I do that on phone because I haven't been on phone in such a long time. And I completely forgot how to put people on the big screen.
Okay, so I'm gonna say let me keep this right here. So can y'all see my screen?
Hold on, there we go. That's the expansion.
Okay, so culture. Culture is the shared beliefs, values, and customs and behavior and artifacts of a group of people shaping how they think, feel, and act. Right? So in the Black American community, right, some of the cultural things that and values we share would be civil rights, customs such as like we eat soul food. We have hip hop, jazz, rock and roll. You know, we have Black American artifacts, like we have the African American Museum of History, etc. So when people say that the culture is the problem, it is literally Black culture that built America.
Can I say something? Because it looks like your conversation is going to be too long. So. Can I say something?
Exactly. All right. So, Maya, how's it going? Maya, chill, Maya. All right. So, Maya, are you at least 18? And
yes,
do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, I am 32 years old. 32.
Cool. What do you disagree with? What I have on the board?
Okay, so the only thing I am disagree with is because I really don't understand why you keep saying reparation. What do you exactly want from them, sir?
Hold on, Maya. You sound very familiar. Have you been here before?
Maybe I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You're the one who used the N-word last time. All right, see.
No. I
recognize that voice.
My removal game is strong. Also, second of all, Shakaya, I ain't disrespecting nobody on this actually, Bothie will tell you I've actually been very nice today. Ironically.
Yeah, she has been. All right, so oh geez, it's a kid. All right, kid, go ahead and do your homework.
Yeah,
bye,
baby.
Yeah, appreciate you being up here. Do your homework.
Yeah. But this is for the grown folk.
Yeah, it's for the grown people up here. All right. Looks like we only have friendlies up, but go ahead and keep liking the live, y'all, so we can go ahead and try to get some more guests. How's it going, Coco? How's it going, Rodney? Rodney, how's it going?
If the non-black kid uses AAVE in the comments for me, Charles.
Yeah, I know. How's it going, Rodney?
Man, I'm just chilling, man. Listening to y'all, bro. Just soaking up knowledge. That's all.
I'm like, Maya, you ain't coming back up here.
Maya, no, you're not coming back up. You're the one who used the N-word last time. I'm sorry. Nope.
I didn't even know that was Maya.
Yeah, I recognize the voice. I was like, hold on, this person sounds very familiar. I know I heard that voice before.
It's just...
But, I'm doing pretty okay. One thing I was going to mention earlier is something that's really sad from history is, there was once, like, a whole street called, like, Black Wall Street, or it was like a Black Wall Street, and, like, black people...
I named that.
Yeah, like, black people were coming up with all these amazing inventions, and they were, like, changing the world, and, like, the white people were just, like, mad for no reason, and decided to, like, literally lynch and burn down all of the black innovation for no reason whatsoever.
Maya, I'm about to mute you, cause you pissing me off. Cause you don't know how to take no for an answer.
Yeah,
it's like someone's ex-boyfriend that doesn't know how to accept no. Like no.
Hey, remember that old Destiny Child song? Cause you a bugaboo.
Bugaboo? Okay, that's exactly what it's giving. Maya's a bugaboo. Okay.
Sorry for interrupting, Coco.
I'm like, and let me start playing TLC. I don't want no scrubs. Okay.
Exactly.
I got time for
Me neither, bitch.
All right, Eric, we're gonna get to you in a second. But what you were saying, Coco? We'll go ahead and finish off what you were saying.
No, I finished basically, but yeah, I was just saying, like, I was
exactly. He sounded like an Arab talking about some he a black American. Like, girl.
He sounded more Indian Punjabi. I think he's from that region. All right, so wait, Eric dropped off. Great. All right, we're gonna move into back. Oh wait, there's Eric. Back. Give me a second because Eric was here. He dropped off for a second. Eric, how's it going, Eric? Are you at least 18, and do you disagree with something I had on the board?
I can't even read what you got on the board, brother. It's so small.
Okay, it has my point saying America was never great. Leftist policies are better for people. Reparations for Black American. There is no evidence for a God. Faith is unreliable for truth, and holy books are not evidence. Do you disagree with any of those points?
I disagree with all those points, brother.
All right, cool. Go ahead and pick one, and we can talk for a few minutes. And if anyone else wants to talk to you, they will talk to you after I talk to you for about at least 10 to 15 minutes. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, Eric. Which one do you want to start on first?
Hold on. Let me look at them again. Let me.
Yeah, and just to let you know, you're a little low, so try to get closer to your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay. I disagree with all your points, brother. Hey, listen, you live in America. You gotta deal with America problems. Everybody gotta deal with American problems. It is what it is.
Okay, what does that have to do with America never being great?
America's always been great.
Is slavery great?
No, but it's a part of America, so...
All right, so if slavery is not great, how can America be great if it was part of America?
Actually, slavery was great. Yes, it was.
Oh, slavery was great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it turns out that you're not being a serious person. Yeah, he's not being serious. Yeah,
I'm like, because either he's not being serious or he a racist. Either way, I'm dropping you.
He's not being serious. All right,
because I don't hope you didn't think that you was gonna be on a panel with a Black American and think that I was gonna let that fly. Like,
exactly.
No.
Especially with my ancestors actually fighting off slavery. You think I was gonna let that slide?
I'm like, my ancestors were doing slave revolts here and doing civil rights, and yours actually revolted and got a free Black nation. Like what?
Exactly. All right, we're gonna move on to back. All right, so back. This is gonna be part 7 of our saga, I guess, because you're always here. You might as well be a fan of mine and subscribe to me already and gift me. You know what I mean? So. Back, how's it going? I already know which one that you disagree with, but did you disagree with anything else?
I agree with everything except for the last 2.
Okay, you agree
last 3.
You agree with everything except for the last 3. Okay, cool. So you agree with everything except for the last 3. Great. I've asked you plenty of times what the evidence is for a God. Have you gotten that yet?
Yeah, we like you said, we spoke before. I know that I presented the evidence. It's just a matter of accepting it or not. But we could talk about it again.
Yeah, because this is part 7 of our saga. So go ahead. What was the evidence?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. And I just want to say this first, man. I don't have no issues with you, man. So when you see me, you don't have to drop me, man. I could have a nice civil conversation and without over talking. So just know that for the future. So.
He talking to me?
No, he's talking to me.
I'm talking to the host. Yeah. You know, so you're a fellow brother of mine, man, in the armed forces. So I see that you used to be in the military. So it's all good, man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so holy books are not evidence. I believe that it is evidence for the simple fact that the book, right, makes some claims. And I think you know where I'm going with this, but I have a different talking point now. Do you believe that the earth created you?
Do I believe that the earth created me? No, I think my parents had a very, very good time one night back in 1987, and I was born.
Okay, that's fair enough. So let's think deeper than that, right? So in order for you to exist, earth will have to come to be first.
Of course.
Okay, great. In order for earth to will have to come to be first, right? The meteors, stardust, whatever you want to call it, will have to come together before the process can begin.
Yeah, sure.
Great. So your origins of life would not happen if these processes didn't occur. Meaning, if these meteors, like you said, stardust didn't come together, you won't be here. So technically, you are saying, because I'm not putting words in your mouth, you are saying that you are a product of meteors. You believe you came from meteors and rocks.
No, we're part of chemistry.
Well, like I said, you won't be here unless these chemistry would come together, and these chemistries hitched a ride on these meteors, came together, molded together. Then the process waited until the Earth got into the perfect condition. Then voila, single-cell organism.
Well, it's not necessarily voila, single-cell organism. We're still researching how that single-cell organism came to be. We're not sure yet. But yeah, we all evolved from single-cell organisms. But yeah, if that's the case, if that's correct, then sure. What's the problem?
The problem is that. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not really seeing your point. What's the issue there?
Yeah, the point is that you believe this thing. You believe it, but It's not observable. It's not testable. I'll tell you what is testable. Genesis said 129. It said that God spread out the seeds, created the plant life, and the seeds of which the plants come from. I can see it. I can test it, and they reproduce after their kind. That's the evidence. Your worldview doesn't say those things. Your worldview, you will have to leave science. Then you have to explain it in your own delusion. For example, I can take a tree seed and I could put it underneath the microscope and I can see how the cells work, which means that a God should be able to create things in nature that his creation cannot do. You could see the cells in that in that seed. You can take from that cell and you could mix it and modify it, but you won't be able to create your own original code. Meaning, where would you even begin? Meaning, the seeds are supernatural because none of us, no matter how big your words are, no matter how many years you went to school, you will not be able to create one. Proving my point, saying that only God can create things in nature that his creation cannot create. It's proven.
Okay, so number one, you can't test that because the Bible says that God created the seas, and you just looking at the seas doesn't mean that you tested anything. You have to actually test what God did, and we have no idea what God did. The Bible simply says God created it. It doesn't say how. It doesn't say through what process. It just say he created it. So you can't test it out. But the second thing that I would say is that when it comes to the chemistry that we're talking about, origin of life is something that's still being researched. Abiogenesis seems to have the most evidence behind it. But if you would need to know more about abiogenesis, you should speak to an origin of life researcher, organic chemists, biologists. They're the ones who do that research. I would suggest speaking to them. But to say that it's not testable is actually incorrect. It is testable. There's plenty of papers and scientists who are looking into it and actually have done experiments. That's the first thing. But the second thing that I would say is that when it comes to the planetary formation, we actually have taken photos of protoplanetary disks in our galaxy. All you got to do is really hop on Google and type in photo of protoplanetary disk. And we actually have taken pictures of them. And we've actually seen planets forming inside of them. And the reason why we know it's planets forming inside of them is because we can actually measure their diameters. We can measure what chemistry is coming from those planetary disks, et cetera, et cetera. And all those pictures and photos and skeptometry, it all lines up with what we would with what the theory of planetary formation actually says. So because we actually see this happening in our galaxy itself, and we're taking pictures, and all of the evidence lined up with what the scientists have said, then we can make the conclusion that this is what the most likely case is. When it comes to so it's not just we can't test it; we literally see it happening. We took pictures of it. So that's the first. So that's the two things that I would say to your statement. Number one, you can't test Genesis because God is not going to come down, or as far as I know, God has never come down and said, "This is how I created the earth." It's just in a book from 2,000 years ago. It's not a test. That's just a claim. And the second thing is that when it comes to planetary formation,
i.e., the Bible is not evidence.
Yeah, the Bible is not evidence. It's a claim. It's not evidence.
Okay, again, right? It proves my point. You did not address my point. You just went to just your own explanation, and it proves. I could say the same thing you said. It doesn't show me anything. What I'm showing you, it shows something. Because, like I said in Genesis 1:29, it made a claim. You're right. It made a claim, but that claim cannot be refuted.
It can't be tested at all because you said that you can test this claim, but God never came down and said, "This is the process I did to create the earth." He never did that. So how do you test it?
So the test is the Bible made the claim.
Okay.
It made the claim. It's pointing and it's blaming God for.
So the claim is the test?
So can I finish? So that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
All right, but no, back. I got you.
If the claim
it's the claim to test.
I'm gonna mute, man.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to mute. You don't have to mute. You don't have to mute. Okay. The question then becomes: is the claim the test? How do you test that claim? Actually?
Right.
How do you test it?
So when you said that, we haven't seen God do it or whatever, that's why I say that's the miracle when he spoke it and it was. So that will make the seed supernatural, because when you speak something, it is. So we can test it. Like I told you, you could put the seed in a microscope. You can see how the cells work. You can see the DNA strand and everything. You can see these things. You can literally take from what already exists and you can modify it.
Okay, so
one
pause
thing
for me.
that you would never.
So
hold on,
pause for
hold on.
me. Pause me back. So you're saying that nature is evidence that what the Bible says is true?
No, I said the supernatural is evidence that the Bible is true because God spoke and it was. So when he was talking about the
hold
seed,
on, back, hold on. You're putting the cart before the horse. You're simply saying that God spoke and it was, but that's what the Bible says. How do you actually show that the supernatural is true? We understand that's what the Bible
Right.
says.
That's
What
what
do you hold on? What do you actually do to prove the supernatural?
that's what I'm explaining, sir.
But no, but you're not.
Because
You said that the Bible says something, and then we asked you, okay, how do we know the Bible is true? You said, look at cells, and I said, okay, so cells is what the Bible claims, and you said no. God said things, and He spoke into it. That's supernatural. So I'm asking you, how do we prove the supernatural? And all thing you said was went back to this, said, oh, God said this. That doesn't prove the supernatural. How? Yeah, sure. God said this in the Bible. Now, how do you prove that to actually be true? Because God never said anything about cells or anything like that in the Bible.
Yeah, God doesn't have to say anything about cells. Okay, so all he said was, in those times we would not be able to know what cells were. Okay, so anyway, so when God said, "Let there be," and it was. So, like I said in the beginning, a God should be able to create things in nature that His creation cannot do. You got to remember that as I'm speaking. Now, like I said in Genesis 1:29, it states
Okay, so
that God.
I understand you now. Here's the thing. The reason why I keep interrupting is because you go into preaching mode. I don't like to let people do that. Here's the thing. We actually have created synthetic cells back in 2010. So we have done exactly what you're saying. We've created synthetic cells before, and they're self-replicating. We've done that.
Where did you get the synthetic cells from?
What do you mean where I got it from? What are you talking about?
Where'd you get it from?
What are you talking about? What do you mean where'd I get it from? What are you talking about?
Where did you get the synthetic cells from? For you to even begin the synthetic cell, you would have to take from what?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how they made it. You have to. You got to talk to the people. You got to talk. Hold on. Wait. Stop. I don't know how they made synthetic cells. You would have to speak to the people in the institutions that made them. But we have made them.
Sir, I looked into this. That's why I'm confident in what I'm talking about. Because in order for them to even begin that experiment, sir, they would have to.
Can I jump in real quick?
They would have to. No, hold on. They would
go
have
ahead.
to take. How you gonna say it while I'm talking?
Well, yeah, like you're literally like.
No, bro, I was talking.
No.
I know you're talking. He's gonna come in right after you finish. He was asking if he could come in. He was just gonna come in right after you finish. Go ahead and finish.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna monologue. Trust me, I don't monologue because I feel
you do.
Okay,
You have
You've been monologuing.
respectfully,
You've been
man.
doing
No
it.
problem. I'm about to land my plane. Okay, so in order for you to say synthetic anything is synthetic. I mean, you could say bananas is synthetic. You could say, but the thing is that they took these parts from what already exists. So proves my point when I say a God should be able to create things in nature that His creation cannot do. It still stands, and then they claim in Genesis 1:29 still stands
because you haven't proved the
man.
claim
Hold on. So come on, man.
So you have to show a God exists. I got you. But go. I understand what Genesis says. You just can't keep going back to Genesis. We don't care what Genesis says, bro. You just can't keep going back to that. That's what we say going to preaching mode. That's all we're saying. That's all we keep saying. Everybody pause. Everybody pause. The reason why I keep saying you just can't keep going back to Genesis is because you get in preaching mode. We don't care what the Bible says. But go ahead, Coco.
I'm not preaching. I'm showing you.
Go ahead, Coco.
No, you're not showing us anything. And like this is like super frustrating because you've literally come on my live with the same bogus, dumb claims and you haven't done like any research into this. I think that like it's very disrespectful to me and everybody on this panel for you to continuously come on lives and try to steelman the atheist position and
address the seed. I don't want to hear all that. Address the seed.
Shut the legitimate fuck up.
You're mad. Address the seed. Where did it come from in your worldview?
Back.
I want to know in this where did it come from? I want to hear all these extras.
Shut the legitimate fuck up.
Be quiet before.
Yeah.
Coco, go ahead.
You have had this conversation on my panel, and we told you to go do research on abiogenesis, go do research on the formation of planets, and then you come in here with your God is real bullshit, and you think that you're gonna like cook everybody in the room, but you trip at the fucking doorway and face scrape yourself and try to demonstrate my position by literally like just saying the same bullshit you said on my live with no research. Since you came on my live, you haven't read any articles.
It said the same on our live too.
Yeah, he's on this live doing the same thing. All right, so back here's the thing. I'm sorry, Coco. Here's the thing. Back when you says that when you said that they have to get from living cells, that's actually incorrect. The way that they made there's two ways to make synthetic cells. They can either get from non-living parts of an already living cell. That is true. Or they can get like non-living material. Basically, they get non-living material and they make living cells. Yeah. So yeah, you have to get things from around your environment, of course. You have to get things from around your environment, of course. But they're able to make synthetic cells by getting things from their environment. So, are you saying that God like made cells out of nothing, like he made it out of thin air? And if that is what you're claiming, how exactly is that possible? And number two, how do you actually prove that to be true?
Right. So we know that God is spirit and he's supernatural himself. So he's the creator of all things. So like I said,
right. So back. I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand my question. Hold on. Wait. I'm gonna let you go. But I don't think you actually understood my question. My question is, I don't need you to repeat the claim that God is supernatural. I need you to actually prove that a God actually exists, and that God actually exists, that he actually can do these things. That's what I'm asking you to do. How do you show that?
What? Oh, damn. What you put in the back?
I can say something next.
Okay. Hello?
Also, and don't
all right, no problem.
the Bible. The Bible's not evidence; it's a claim.
Right. So
can I speak next?
Yeah, Ronnie. Ronnie, give me a second because Bobby wanted to go next, and then it's gonna be you. All right, Rodney. All right. So back, just to reiterate my question. The claim is you keep saying that God is supernatural in the spirit. We understand that that's the claim. What we're asking for is how do you actually show that to be true? Saying the Bible says so is not evidence of anything. You need to actually show that the God exists first. How do you do that? What's the steps?
Great, no problem.
Without using the Bible, do that.
No, that's my weapon. Okay. One thing about
okay,
when I
it's
debate
not a
atheists.
valid one, so we ask you not to.
Hold on. Host, I'm respectful. You know I was respectful. Listen.
You're being respectful for the first time in a long time.
I'm not dropping my sword because that's my weapon. That's my weapon.
I understand that. Hold on. Pause for me.
Oh my God.
Everybody pause for me. Back. I'm not telling you that you should throw away the Bible. That's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm asking you to do is, yes, we understand that the Bible says this, and we understand that you believe it, and we understand these are the claims that the Bible made. What I'm asking you is, how do you then show that? Hold on, listen. How do you then show that to be true? Because the Bible actually does make a claim that actually is true. Like, for example, the city of Moab. For a long time, we couldn't find the city of Moab, and the Bible said that the city of Moab existed. And guess what? Archaeologists went out there, and they found the city of Moab. Cool, that's awesome, right? So that vindicates something that the Bible says. So now the Bible is saying that this almighty creator God created the universe, etc., etc. Now what do we do to actually show that? Because that's a claim. Where's the evidence for it? What do we do?
All right. So like I said, my sword I will never surrender in a debate. Okay, so like I said, the Bible made the claim already. So if a God wanted to know that he's the one that is the author of creation, he would let his creation know. He will leave something behind to let us know that he did it. And that's what we see. Okay? So again, the supernatural relates to a God because we can't do it. That's the supernatural thing about it.
Oh my God.
So another thing. So can I land my plane? Can I land my plane?
Crashing your plane.
They hate it. Can I land my plane? Can I land?
Hold on. Hold on.
Can I land my plane?
You're so dumb.
Hold on. Everybody pause.
Nothing we tell him is going to enter his fucking skull.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Everybody pause. Because I know we're all getting frustrated because I've been here before. Maybe it's because I got high this weekend, which is why I'm chilling on back tonight. But back. The only yeah, he's crashing and
You're
crashing
just
and burning.
repeating yourself.
But exactly, you're just repeating yourself.
Big back dumbass.
You're just repeating.
And I'm like, and this is why I'm muting you, sir, because first of all, we asked you to provide. I'm like, we don't need to know what's in the Bible. We know what's in it, and we know what you believe is supernatural. We asked you to prove it. Get out of your Bible and prove us something tangible.
Right.
If you cannot do that, I'm just gonna drop you. Because it's pointless.
The pivot. Hey, host.
Ain't no pivot, bro. That's the first thing that we asked.
Okay,
host.
All right,
this is what we've been talking about.
Listen to me, man.
All right. I'm listening. I'm listening back.
The host, I proved my point. You're just not trying to hear me because you even said
you
that.
You have no point, sir.
Let me speak to the host, man. That's what I'm saying.
All right, so
they losing when they gotta do this.
All right, hold on. Everybody pause real quick. I got you. Okay, everybody pause me real quick. All right, everybody pause me real quick. Hold on, back. Hold on, bro. Hold on. So everybody pause me real quick. Back is gonna speak to me. Let him speak for the next 2 minutes. Kay and Coco promise to let me speak for let you speak for the last 2 minutes. All right.
Down because I got time for this foolishness.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, back. So I'm gonna put go ahead. Put 2 minutes on the clock, host, uninterrupted. Go ahead. Speak to us.
So, host, you mentioned, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. You said that the synthetic plants or whatever you want to say came from either non-living or living materials. Correct?
Yeah, you can do it either way. You can do it non-living material. You can do a living material.
Right. My point is, and
I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. You can do it from non-organic material, meaning like dirt and rocks and shit, or you can take it from the non-living parts of a cell. Go ahead.
You cannot take it from a non-living organic material. Are you talking about a rock?
Yeah, you can take it from the from inorganic material.
Okay, so so you can take a rock and you can see if that's true. You will never get anything out of nothing out of a rock. Okay, that's just belief. Okay, so what we do know, a rock doesn't produce anything. Okay, so now, like I said, like you said that you can take non-living and living materials, right, to make synthetic plants. Correct?
I said synthetic cells.
Right, but in order for you to get synthetic cells, you would have to take from living or non-living related cells, right?
No. So let me read this again. All right. So give me a second. Okay. Here we go. Synthetic cells were made the top-down method, which modifies living cells existing in a genome, and the bottom-up method, which assembles non-living components to mimic a cell. So yeah, non-living components. So it's just like I said.
Right. No problem. You said non-living components, but they took this non-living components from what?
They took it from the environment.
What environment, man? Specifically?
You're gonna have to talk to me, bro. I don't know.
Wait, hold on.
I don't know, bro.
Okay, host.
Pause. I've already told you back. I actually do not know. You need to speak to scientists about it.
Okay, thank you. Then say that.
Bro, I've been saying that. Don't be. Hold on. Wait, for the new person that came, please don't interrupt. All right, we're trying to have a conversation with Back because he says that he keeps being interrupted and we want to give him a chance. All right, so please stop saying excuse me. We're gonna go ahead and let him go. If you're an expert in this field, I'm gonna get your opinion on it, definitely. So just give me a moment, okay? All right. So Back, I said from the beginning. Please don't be condescending right now. I said from the beginning, you need to talk to scientists about this. I actually do not know all these answers. You have to talk to them about it. You said that you did research it. That's what you said, right? However, I'm betting 100% that if we get some sort of expert in the field about this, they'll say everything that you're saying is wrong. Because every time you make a claim and then I just hop on Google and type in exactly what you said, it disagrees with what you said. So it seems that you didn't actually do the research into it.
Okay, no problem, man. I did do the research. That's why the questions that I'm asking, I know they can be answered because you said that you don't know, and that's my point. The thing is this: you don't know because you can't explain it. That's the
duh.
Pretty much right.
Duh. I don't know because I can. Duh. What?
Hey, no problem. Hey, no problem, host. Relax, man. No problem. The reason is you can't explain it is right It's because you've never seen it happen and it cannot be done.
So how did they make it? How did they make something?
All right. Okay. So what I'm talking about that cannot be done is to create a seed without using the materials that already exist. That's my point. That's my
of
point.
Of course, you have to use. So back. Of course, you need to make something out of something else. Of course, you need to do that.
Thank you.
Because something can't come from nothing. We hold on. So back. Was it ever my claim that something comes from nothing? Was that ever my claim?
That's your whole premise.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Okay, now I'm dropping.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I've told you this dozens of times before, back. That is not my premise. That's never been.
I'm like, now he just misread. I can't with this. I'm like, Volsey, I gave it a good go.
Yeah, you did. You did. You did.
Literally, like, back is a brick, and, like, he literally tries to, like, steel man, like, the atheist position. There is no atheist on the face of the planet, right, that's going to say that the atheistic worldview, or a worldview that atheists can hold, is that we don't believe in the laws of thermodynamics, where matter can be created out of nothing. Like, back is just so fucking dense.
Yeah, no, literally no one says that. All right, Rodney, I do apologize. I was trying to get you in, but
the irony is that's his position because he's literally arguing that something can come out of nothing. That's literally what he was arguing.
Exactly. Bobby, you still there, Bobby? Go ahead, Rodney.
Okay. I was just gonna say, man, like, I respect all y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? And I love the conversation. And I'm a believer, man. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm a believer, but at the end of the day, I feel like, I respect everybody's belief systems. And at the end of the day, I was gonna tell him, even the Bible tells you that it's not a guarantee. You know what I'm saying? There is no evidence of what you're believing in. There is no evidence. The Bible even says this. The Bible says faith is the evidence of things not seen. You know what I'm saying? Is the proof of evidence of things not seen. So you hoping that these things are true. You know what I'm saying? None of us have died and went to the other side. So there's no guarantee. We are hoping that these things are true. You feel what I'm saying?
I'm glad
hey, Rodney, I could respect that. Yeah, Rodney, I 100% respect that because that's a lot of position. You know something why I don't like.
That is the most honest position I've ever heard come out of a Christian's mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why, like, in my everyday life, most Christians, or I would say most believers, are exactly like Rodney. They're like, man, I'll tell you the truth. I don't know if this shit is true or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and hold on to it because that gives me hope. It gives me comfort. It something that guides me in my life, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, okay, I respect that. You know what I mean? Now, people like that is the ones I have the issue with,
Yeah. I just feel like, man, whatever makes you a better person, bro, if it makes you a better person, go ahead with it, bro. That's all I'm with.
I 100% respect that too. And I've actually said the same thing. Like, that's why I'm not I don't go too hard on people who like went into jail and then found a religion and then came out of it because like that's what's helping them, whatever.
I'm like
I don't think
I know thinks he's a liar because he came out of jail.
Out of jail,
and
yeah.
read a few religious books. I mean, I got time for that.
Now, in my opinion, I don't think anybody needs. I think you could be good without it, but it doesn't really matter what I say because you're an expert on yourself. Since you're an expert on yourself and you're gonna say that, hey, this is what I need. I can't take that away from anybody. You know what I mean? That's always how I am. Rodney, would you mind giving me
religion ass niggas? Girl, I ain't got time.
No, let me tell you, man. In my single atheist days, I used to pass by churches all the time, and I'm sorry, I know that's sacrilegious, but give me a second, Rod. I'm gonna get back to you, Bobby. Are you still there, Bobby?
Yep.
All right, Bobby. I do apologize. Thank you so much for being patient with me. Are you at least 18? And did you disagree with something I had on the board?
Yep. And yep.
All right, cool. What did you disagree with?
The last four.
The last four are reparations and my religious topics. Cool. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Ooh, that was a bad one. Apologies. All right, y'all. We're at 13K likes. Try to get us to 20K within the next 7 to 10 minutes, y'all. I would really appreciate if that happens. If we do not get to 20K within the next 7 to 10 minutes, Kay will shut off the comments, all right? And she is not playing. She will shut off those comments really quick, all right?
Listen, I'm a very good mod because I run a strict program.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. So 7 to 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and get it to 20K.
I'm like, it's 9:51, so I'm good. So 9 to 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna give it to like 10. I'm like 11. No, 10.
Yeah.
10, 12.
Yeah, let's get to 10, 12. Let's get to 20K, y'all. That's plenty of time for us to get to 20K.
Time 10, 12.
Oh, okay. 10, 12.
9:51.
Exactly. So let's get to 20K, y'all. We got plenty of time. All right, Bobby, let's go ahead and start with whatever did you want to start with. Which one of them did you want to start with?
We can just go from top to bottom. So reparations for Black Americans.
Sure. Yeah. Reparations for Black Americans should happen because they were not only oppressed, but they were deliberately kept back from gaining wealth and fully enjoying the benefits of the economy of this country. And it's simply the right thing to do because the government was involved in damaging their community. So it's the government's responsibility to repair it.
And also, that's like systemic, still rolls over to today.
Yes, it still rolls over to today because history doesn't happen in a vacuum. So the effects of Jim Crow, the effects of redlining, the effects of black codes still happen today. And we know the effects of Jim Crow.
Even the effects of slavery, no shade.
Even the effects of slavery happen today because there are still people who still believe that black people are stronger and have a higher pain tolerance. And that came from slavery.
Yeah.
How there are still people that defend slavery. Like we just saw up here.
Like we just saw a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like, I mean, they were also kept away from schools and stuff.
Correct.
And on average, they have a lower IQ than like.
It's like the black people on average have a lower IQ than white people.
No, other Americans. No, not white people.
Oh no, you going? Bye.
What?
Yeah, when it comes,
I heard that. I caught it immediately.
Yeah, the one at the top. You can drop them. Yeah. So when it comes to so no, not you. So Bobby, when it comes to the entire
not you.
IQ,
There was someone above you.
Yeah. So so Bobby, when it comes to the entire IQ thing, like the research that we have shows that it's largely environmental. So
I agree.
Right. So when it the thing that's affecting the IQ of Black Americans, well, Black people in general in America, is the social statistics. So you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I actually don't agree with reparations for Black people because I don't think that giving them to individuals in the Black community is actually going to be the most beneficial for the entire community. I think it would be best to just invest in African American communities as a whole, like institutionalized, like more.
I think it should be both.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with, Bobby. You're saying that instead of for example, giving Kay a check or giving Rodney a check, it should be like the fact that, if Kay lives in, like, let's say Southside Chicago, the government should invest in Southside Chicago in their schools, the environment, et cetera, and that would be better than rather give her a check. Okay, yeah. So what Kay and I would say is that it should be both. That's what we would say. Why do you think? Let's get your opinion on this. Why do you think like the individual thing would either be a bad thing or would not work? What would you say?
Well, because when we think about like, if we know that they're whatever, let's say that they gave a budget for taxes, right? Like America's.
I'm sorry, Bobby. Can you pause me real quick? You're kind of muffled. Are you away from your phone?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, that's actually a little better.
We can hear you, but it was just muffled a little bit.
It was just a little muffled. Go ahead and do that again.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to hold it a little bit closer. So let's say that we had a budget for it, like through taxes. Through taxes.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Taxes. Yeah, through taxes. So if we give them. I'll do one and then the other. If we give them to the individuals themselves, right? Unless those people have two options. Option one is they're irresponsible with it and they blow it and they waste it. Or option B, they do the same thing that I'm saying. They're going to invest in themselves already. They're going to build. They're going to spend all their money on building the institutions themselves just to be in the same position of like basically rock bottom, and also having to like run it all themselves. I think like in a net way they'd be still in a disadvantage that way. Like when you start a business, like a small business, you're most of the time you're in debt. Like when you first start, you're going to be in debt. So what's the point of giving them the money so they can go get in debt when we could just invest in the business and be like, okay, this is the African American community. Let's just bring in a CEO from this community. Let's bring in workers. Let's bring in the customers. So they go in it starting at zero, but instantly going to profit instead of the opposite way around. And then let's jump to the other. So if we
Okay. I think I'm seeing like I think I'm seeing the vision. I think I'm seeing the vision. Basically, the way that we you're saying that since entrepreneurship, a lot of times most entrepreneurs are going to fail. So if we do give reparations, like a check or something like that, a lot of these people will try to go into business, but unfortunately a lot of them will fail, and that'll be worse off for them. So let's go ahead and just invest in the community, or have a CEO guide them instead of just giving them the money. Is that the angle you're going at?
Yeah, I'm saying let's build up the community, and it would be like this. If we were playing like Sims, right? It would you guys
Then populate the neighborhood. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so gotcha. All right, so Bobby, when it comes to like the individual money thing, right? We're not, like, no one here is naive. We all know that there are going to be people, like, if we give them $10,000 a year, he's going to blow it on coke and hookers. We know that there are people who are like that. Yeah, we know there's folks who are like that. But when we actually look at what do the black spending habits, because that actually has been studied, it shows that much of the reason why a lot of black people don't have a lot of disposable income is because they're spending it on discretionary things like rent, mortgages, food, gas, things of that matter, right? And when we do spend it on things like that are considered quote unquote luxuries, like cologne and hair products, is because the regular hair products out there are not made for us, and the products that are made for us are a little bit more expensive for obvious reasons, right? Yeah. So we actually do know how to racism. So we actually do know how to spend the money. It's just that life is more expensive for us because a lot of products are not made for us in mind. You see what I'm saying? So I do understand your concern, though. I think anybody understands your concern. Kay will say the same thing. She probably knows people who just waste the money. Like, she knows. But
I know plenty.
Yeah. So
I can think of at least 5 people. Well, I can think of at least 5 people on the top of my head right now.
Yeah, exactly. So we get it. We get the concern. Yeah. It's just that the reason why it still works out better is because there are more people who would do exactly what you said, build themselves up instead of wasting it. And those that do waste it, everybody else is gonna look at them like, "Hey, bro, you fucked up. We got our reparations and we built ourselves up. You know who messed it up." You know what I'm saying? So,
but to be fair, like even me, like most of the stuff I spend are necessities and stuff.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I again, the question here then is, so how big of a budget would it have to be to do both, where we help institutionalize a lot of the
That's actually a great question, actually.
And then to also give them a reparation, and how would that work if it's on a monthly basis? Like even if it was like $1,000, that's like $1,000 a month less. Let's just say $500 a month. Let's just say let's just say $300 a month, because $300 would be enough to at least give the individual they're gonna be okay to eat, right? $300 a month times what? What's the population of the African American community here?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
45. What is it?
About 48 million.
Like 48 million. I know it was like in the 40 something million.
Yeah, 48 million. Yeah, so these are things that actually has been looked at before, Bobby. So yeah, you're asking the right questions. This is why when it was first figured out, like the math of this, like how much would Black Americans be owed, not only for slavery but for Jim Crow, for redlining, for mass lynchings, black folks, etc.
And then the current systemic oppression, which would be the criminal justice system,
exactly,
all that. It would be medical racism. It would be things like job discrimination. So, for example, like one of the things that I have experienced when seeking employment is I've actually been discriminated against for my natural hair. I've actually literally been told by a potential employer that I would have gotten a job if I would have straightened my hair.
Right, which is kind of crazy, right? So yeah, so when it's calculated like how much all that would be, the low end was like $10 trillion and the high end was like 50 to 60. That's an astronomical amount of money. So of course, yeah, people are not naive. Like we're when people reparations advocates, we're not naive, right? We're like, yeah, this is a lot. How are we gonna do this? You feel me? So what I've heard proposed was essentially go like more towards the middle low end, maybe 15 trillion, and dedicate $1 trillion a year to do everything that we said. You know what I mean? Because we can dedicate $1 trillion a year because we do that with the military, right? So we can do it. So $1 trillion a year towards the black community, not just cash or whatever, but repairing the actual systems that need to be repaired, right? And there are other ways. The other way that I
one
heard.
of the things that we should also do is I think the money should be invested into our HBCUs.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that should also be a part of it as well.
Right. So one of the other ways that I've heard Bobby is like another system, a tiered system where we go into these communities. Every community that was redlined, their high schools are invested into to have every single student graduate with a trade, right? So every single red line area in Compton and East Baltimore and Philly and St. Louis and Chicago and Miami, those schools in those areas are invested into so they can have trade programs, right?
I think New York has a few red line
New York
areas.
as well, exactly. New York as well, yeah, definitely. The Bronx especially.
They definitely did down south. So I'm thinking like where my family's from, Memphis, and like all over the country, wherever it happened.
Yeah, exactly, all the places. So basically, those areas, those schools get investment into them so they have trade programs. So every single student graduates with a trade. That would actually kind of end cyclical poverty because these kids will be able to have, a trade degree in order to get out there and work, right? To be a plumber, electrician, etc. There's also investing in the.
They can also get degrees on top of it.
And on top of it, exactly. And then there's the infrastructure in those communities. You know what I mean? The pipes need to get rebuilt. The electricity need to get rebuilt. The homes that's to have letting them to get. Oh, I got you, Rodney. Give me 1 second. The homes in them.
We need to fix our grocery stores. So
exactly, I was gonna get to that. Exactly.
In the black community.
Exactly. Repair the food deserts, etc. Right. So do all of that, and on top of that, what I've heard before, if it's not going to be a direct check, is going to be basically reverse taxation. Basically, like all the taxes that Black Americans paid towards that year, it all gets paid back. Basically, reverse taxation is actually an idea by Milton Friedman, which was the father of like Austrian economics. Like he actually came up with that idea for to fix poverty. Well, basically, all the taxes that a poor person pays the entire year, it all gets paid back. It all gets rebated to them. I've actually heard that for reparations as well. And the taxes that Black Americans usually pay in a year on average is around between $25,000 to $30,000. So all that gets rebated back to them. And they'll be able to go ahead and...
keep in mind, the Black American dollar, I believe, is worth over $1 trillion. Like the Black American spending power, I believe. If I'm, don't quote me. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's about 1.7. Yeah, it's about over $1 trillion, about 1.7, close to $2 trillion. But Bobby, does that all make sense? I want to make sure that all makes sense to you. Then then Rodney wanted to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, Rodney.
And but a lot of people be saying like the United States don't have the money to pay reparations, but we do.
That's a lie.
We actually do. We funding all these foreign countries.
Yeah, Bobby, we could hear you now. But does all that make sense to you?
Yeah, that all made sense, and that kind of clears it up for me. But the point is, this is where we disagree, and we're still going to disagree. Is I'm okay because I actually agree with the tax like re-reparation type of thing, but again I still think that they should still be taxed and that tax money should be dedicated to the community because I don't think 15 trillion is like we can't take that out of the military budget at this point in the nation, right? When we think about like a whole conclusive worldview, and the only reason that is because obviously we've got ourselves in a mess here, but if we take down our military too much, we're going to fall beneath countries like China and Russia, who are just going to continue to pour their money in. And if we let them do that, there's going to be bigger geopolitical issues that the African Americans, like, at that point, it wouldn't even matter. Like, you don't want to be under that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think we all understand the geopolitical issues. And the thing is, I think the geopolitical issues is America's own fault. Us intervening around the world. Absolutely, yeah. So but we are in a situation now. So yeah, America says have a military.
I would also say this: we also need to make sure that these are quantified into law, because what we don't need is a president being able to come in, let's say, and reverse everything, because then we would be put back exactly where the fuck we just came out of. So that's another thing I'm concerned about. Like, I need the reparations thing to be quantified into law. Like, it has to be quantified. Otherwise, it could be reversed.
Gotcha. All right, Bobby, that we are out of the 15 minutes, but we spent most of it on reparations. Did you want to talk about anything else? I could put another timer on.
Yeah, we can, but you can let other people talk first.
All right,
but
cool.
I'll just clarify real quick. So it sounds like, just to be clear, it sounds like you guys, like, our disagreement still is going to be just how that money gets reinvested in the community. Correct?
Yeah, that's fine. As a matter of fact, there are people who are reparationists who say the same thing. That said, how do we actually do this? Who kind of, align more with you? How do we do it? Like, do we get checks or do we do this? Now, there's not a lot of them. But there are some who actually do discuss that. But it's a healthy conversation, and I'm happy that you're in good faith with it. What did you want to say, Kay?
Yeah, and that's the key part, is good faith, because a lot of these folks are not in good faith.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so give me one moment, Bobby. I'll get back to you. Dr. Pepper, how's it going, Pepper? Are you at least 18, and did you disagree with anything I had on the board?
Yes to both.
All right, cool. What did you disagree with, and why?
There's no good evidence for a God.
Cool. What is the good evidence you think there is?
Well, I'll pick one. Just go with strong force. It's a universal constant. And if that universal constant is not precise to its value by 1/1 times 10 to the 37th of its value, you have no atoms, you have no nucleus, you have no chemistry, you have no molecules. It sure looks like design, and it's something even.
But you're attributing that to design of a god. That's not evidence itself.
Well, it's not proof, but it is evidence. It's certainly evidence of order.
It's evidence.
But it's not evident.
I mean, what it shows is that our universe has to exist within certain fundamental constants, but that doesn't really show evidence of design. It just shows that the universe exists in a certain way, and we just don't understand it yet.
Well, it does show that it's.
Oh yeah.
Give me a second, Doc. Hey, Coco, did you want to do this one? Because I know you love this argument.
Oh, sure. I can knock it out.
Yeah, go ahead, Coco.
Yeah.
So what is he arguing?
He's arguing the fine tuning argument, basically.
Well, the necessary precision of it.
So whenever you say precision, like, what are you referring to specifically?
Well, in this, I'll just break it down to the strong force, the one that holds the protons in the nucleus, that allows for molecules, chemistry. The constant itself has to be precise by 1/1 times 10 to the 37th of its value. Otherwise, you have no nucleus, you have no molecules, you have no chemistry. It sure looks designed. I mean, that's a precision that we really can't comprehend, and it has to be that way. Or you have no chemistry. No atoms.
Well,
so I think,
I would say, I do need to do more research on, the precision force and, exactly what you're talking about. But, I mean, so the way that I see it is that there's no, symmetry breaker for me, right? It could be the case that, maybe God created it and, that's the way that he designed it to be. But I think it's also equally as likely that, it's just happenstance and, we don't have an explanation for why it is the way that it is. But this just happens to be, a characteristic of our universe. And, we should probably stay, agnostic about it until we find, a reason or a source behind these things. So I would need like some kind of symmetry breaker why I should believe it's like the God hypothesis versus like maybe an unknown or a naturalistic hypothesis. This could just be like a natural characteristic of our universe.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like everything that you pointed out, the weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force, all of those things, that could just be a natural process of our universe that we simply don't understand yet. It doesn't necessarily need to be a God, right?
And they also doesn't provide evidence for a God either.
I love the fine-tune argument. Can I say something?
Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Let Dr. Pepper respond first, because I don't want to jump him.
Sure, thanks. And
Yeah,
by
go
the way,
Dr. Pepper and then Beats. Go ahead.
I appreciate the way you know, this is a civil conversation. I love this. Anyways, I would say we're left with what we do know is the precision that's necessary. So, without an explanation, it sure looks like it's created, and if we don't have an answer for why it's not, it's almost like default creation with that sort of precision. And it's not just that constant. There's tons of them. But and some of them are far more precise.
Well, really quick,
it looks like a blueprint. I mean, it looks like a blueprint, and I think it's solid evidence for a God. And I think even like Dawkins said something about that. He said if he ever became theist, it would be because of the universal constants. It's solid evidence. I'm granting it's not proof, but that was all it was. I just wanted to bring that up, and also
okay,
it's not.
Dr. Pep.
Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I just wanted to because I just want to make sure Beats is able to get in, and then after Beats, we're gonna go to Coco. That's all I want to say.
Sure. Well, that's good. I mean, you let me speak my piece. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's no problem as long as you come up here with respectful and with good intentions and yeah, we have no problem. That's fine.
Yeah, gotcha. Beats, what did you want to say?
Hey,
go ahead.
I'm an atheist, and I love the fine-tune argument. And I just wanted to point out that what they say about the fine-tune argument or the precision that we observe at the nano or the quantum level is that chemistry as we know it would not exist, right? It could be, and it very much would be just a different form of it. If any form of order was to come with different variables, it would just be different. It wouldn't be just impossible, right? So what you see today is what we have, and we don't have any other model to confirm that it wouldn't be possible any other way. Also, think about it. When you build a home, you can be a couple of inches off in most of the measurement, and the home is still going to hold. But if you're building a tiny home, then you need to be a little more precise. You can't be off by an inch, right? If you build a microscopic home, you're going to have to be very, very precise. So basically, the precision is only getting higher as you go in deeper. As you zoom in, you're going to get more precision. But at the macro level, it's proportional. It doesn't have to be that precise. And we even observe it at the cosmic level when we have that region where life would have been possible on Earth. It's miles, I think thousands or hundreds of thousands of miles wide, and most people think it's a line until we tell them that it's not. You know, that golden region that they call. So it's all the precision is proportional to the units that you're using.
Yeah, but just to get just to give a little explanation of the strong force, it's what holds these protons within the nucleus, because they repel. The electromagnetic force is another constant, but also the fact that it's set right at this 1/1 times 10 to the 37th. It also has to conform to the electromagnetic constant, which is very precise in itself, incredibly precise. So those both have to be precise in conjunction with themselves. And I'm satisfied that that's a plan. But hey, that's all I wanted to say. You know what? I actually agree with.
Doc. Before anyone continues, Coco, I promise you would be able to get in. So go ahead, Coco. Is there anything you want to say?
Oh no, that's totally okay. But no, yeah, I do need to be open-minded and do more research on like the forces that you're talking about. But also like, one thing that I do want to point out is that like, I think like any atheist or any like agnostic will like agree that like there is a source for everything. There is like something that created this world or universe that we exist in. But like, I guess like where we get stuck at is like, what are the characteristics?
Shout out to Godless Engineer.
Yeah. But basically, like, the thing is, like, what is that source, right? Like, is it a god? Is it, like, a mind that created the universe with intentionality? Or could it be, like, naturalistic? And again, like, I'm not really seeing, like, a symmetry breaker. Yeah, the forces are, like, very specific. But on one hand, it could be God. On one hand, it could be, like, something else. And, like, also, like you say, like, you look at it and you see design. I mean, like, we can look at the universe and see that it's very detailed, but that doesn't really say anything about like how it was created. Like, yeah, like again, it could just be like happenstance, and there's some kind of like naturalistic means about it. I mean, like we have snowflakes. Snowflakes are created and they're very complex. That doesn't mean that it was an intelligent designer behind that. It just means that there was a naturalistic process that created something that was very like unique and special. And there's like a lot of examples of like very detailed things created in nature.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring that same thing up. Like these all could be just natural things that we don't understand yet. But I do see how it's intuitive to you that seems to be designed, because everything that we see on our planet that looks very, very complex and everything like that, from what our experience is, that must be designed. But that doesn't necessarily hold true to nature. You see what I mean? What you were gonna say, Kate?
Doc, before you go, I just want to make sure that Bobby, is there anything you want to add to the conversation? Because you haven't gone yet.
Yeah, I do. But I'll let you guys finish this one up because I'm taking it from a different angle, kind of.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
That's fine. But yeah, Doc, everything we say makes sense. I do get why it's intuitive to you, why it looks designed though, because that's how we experience the world. Everything that's a little super complicated has some sort of design to it. But when we look at nature, that doesn't always hold true. See what I mean?
I feel what you mean. Yeah, and I would still hold to the you can't have atoms. And would we have something else that reacts with itself? I don't think so, because you can't have the chemistry. But I hear what you're saying. I also agree with you on the. I think some form of reparations is necessary. The more you learn about it, especially like not just slavery. I mean, slavery was like the whole.
Yeah, because it wasn't just slavery. That's a lot. That's another misconception. It's also black codes. It's also the Jim Crow era. It's a lot of
redlining, all that.
More recent stuff.
Redlining,
I've learned about a lot of the more recent stuff, and I'm like, yeah, there's something that's got to be done. And like my thought was, it's going to be a number that, just to make the argument simple, or the statement simple, one side's going to think it's way too high, one side's going to think it's way too low, and we're just going to have to settle on a number and move forward as one nation. I hope we can do that.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, let me tell you, I want there to be a day where Black Americans and and white Americans are on an even, equal, and equitable playing field. Like, that is legitimately what I'm like. That's the thing. Like, I'm not asking for anything, but I'm only asking for us to finally be put on an equal playing field so we can literally just move forward. Like,
yeah, I agree. And
no one can disagree with it.
And just to add one more funny thing. You know what could do all this? What could do all this incredibly is AI, but we're not using it to do that. Elon Musk is using it to glaze himself, which is crazy.
Actually, I'm like, AI would be amazing. But you know, and speaking of Elon Musky, I call him Elon Musty. Okay,
yeah, Elon Musk. He's using it to glaze himself instead of actually, improving society, because these are powerful systems. You know what I mean? We can actually use it to figure out some of the secrets of reality and how do we actually get equity in our society. I mean, if you look at Star Trek, all those things are done through AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could actually be exploring the universe if we.
Volsy, of course you're gonna bring. You are such a blur.
I'm a dork, yo. I'm sorry, I'm a dork. You see these big ass glasses? I'm a dork. But yeah.
That
But
was actually that is so funny. That was actually adorable.
The thing is, we sometimes we tend to think that these people want to fix the world, but that's not what they're thinking
they
about.
don't, bro. They really
That's not
don't.
what they're worried about.
They don't.
They're not worried about that.
Have we been on a live together before? You sound familiar.
Who? Me?
Yeah, you sound really familiar. I don't know why.
Yeah, possibly. I see your name sound familiar too.
Yeah, y'all was probably on a live together.
Well, I'm like, well, if we have, it's nice to see you again.
All right, Doc, I do appreciate the conversation, though, Doc. All right, come back anytime. We could keep talking about it.
Sounds good, my friend. You have a great night, y'all.
Wait, what did Caddy say? What freaky stuff did Caddy say in the chat? Why did
He said it's just no creator, just this energy playing with itself. So I was like, oh.
Just energy playing with itself. Energy playing with itself is crazy.
I'm like, listen, I am a lady. I do not talk about such things.
All right, Bobby, let's go ahead and circle back to you. After that, it's probably going to be all friendlies on the panel. How's it going, Caddy? All right, so Bobby, let's go ahead and circle back to you, Bobby. You wanted to talk about the last three topics?
Yeah, so let's do there's no good evidence for God, but I kind of want to tie that one and then faith is unreliable for truth, kind of intertwine those two. And I want to start with so when you guys say there's no evidence, let me retract that. So do you guys believe that there's faith? Evidence takes faith. Like you need faith.
Can I take it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Coco, go ahead. Because I want to answer that too. But go ahead, Coco.
Oh, yeah, so first off, we need to define evidence, right? And I would just define evidence as anything that raises the probability of a claim. And then in regards to faith, I think maybe I'm wrong. I need to look at my notes. It's been a while, but I think faith is deriving from confide, which means confidence, right? So faith is having confidence in something while lacking certain while lacking a bit of evidence, right? Like you can have evidence for a proposition and then have faith because maybe there's more that's needed to ground the proposition at hand, and you just don't have all the details. I don't think evidence takes faith. I think if you evidence is more trying to empirically or in some form of method give justification.
Okay, so I'm going to define, so I have the definition of evidence here, and I'm going to put it, once Volsi gets back, I'm going to have him put it up on the big screen. So we can just define the words we're using for the live. So if y'all can see my screen, evidence, in the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, defines evidence as an available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. Can everyone agree on that definition?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I would accept. Okay, I'm gonna come from a very it's gonna sound semantic, but
hold on, Bobby. I'm Volsi, can you make my screen bigger? Can you put me on the big screen?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, y'all. Missed the last 2 minutes. Catch me up on where we at.
So I just want us to see the screen, right? Because we're talking about evidence. I want us to define words because I believe in words mean things, right? Mm-hmm. So evidence based on the Oxford Dictionary, you see right there, okay? The first thing you see is the Oxford Dictionary defines this. Mm-hmm. And it says evidence is the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. But what's your name?
Keyword available. It has to be available.
What's your name? What do you want me to call you?
You can call her Kay, but do you agree with that?
Okay.
You agree with that definition, Bobby, or did you want to go with another definition?
No, I'm okay with that.
Okay,
definition.
cool.
Okay, so based on this definition, evidence does not require faith.
Well,
it requires a body of fact, available body of facts or information.
Right.
And vice versa, right? Faith does not require or need evidence.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Right.
Because faith is not based on evidence. It's actually the opposite of evidence, right? It's a belief system where oftentimes that does not have evidence. It's so yeah, I would agree that faith does not require evidence. And I think that's why in fact the indication that's the point of the background is faith is an unreliable source for truth because faith does not require evidence. So that's why it's not a reliable source for truth.
Right, exactly. Now, I was going to give an example that goes deeper into that, but go ahead, Bobby. If we could agree with that definition, then that would mean that evidence doesn't really require faith, unless you can explain it another way.
Yeah. So it says facts and information. So unless we have like some sort of fundamental, like something. Okay. I'm a Christian myself, right? So I believe, and this is where it's going to get dicey, because I believe that truth is manifested into into a person's, right? So truth isn't like empirical alone. Truth isn't just empirical. Like there's other forms of truth. You know, like
How do we define truth if not empirical evidence? How do we define what is true and what is not?
The easiest way would be this. Like, let's say somebody likes McDonald's, right? And they go, I like McDonald's. And that's true because that person said it and that's his subjective truth. So we know that, you know, even if we've never seen that guy eat McDonald's, we can still take what he's saying as true. You know,
right. Okay, but if you're my close friend, and I've never seen you eat McDonald's. In fact, I see you spit out McDonald's, and you're claiming to like McDonald's. I can empirically say that is not true.
Okay, so then I'll use another one. So let's take a blind person, right? They literally don't see, so they can't empirically they can't objectively confirm one or the other, right? They have to use their senses to determine what's going on around them, right?
Okay.
In the environment. So
right, but here's the thing with blind people, right? If this happens to any time when one of your senses are taken for whatever reason, unfortunately, or maybe you're born without it, the other senses actually become heightened. So your sense of touch, sense of smell, and so if you're blind, in this case, your sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of hearing would actually be heightened to make up for the fact of your lack of sight. And and I believe that's evolution. That's also based because of evolution as well.
Yeah. Right. So, Bobby, you're saying that truth, such as my favorite rapper is Tupac, so that's my truth. That is my favorite rapper. Is that what you're trying to go towards? You can't empirically show that he's my favorite rapper, but he is my favorite rapper because I listen to him all the time and stuff like that. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Well, I was just making an example of how there's different forms of truth, but I'm tying it into something like this. So
like self-truth and stuff like that. It's my self-truth if I was born LGBTQ. Okay, I got you.
There's metaphorical truths. There's poetic truth. Let's say somebody says something.
Well, even with that, I'm hypothalamus, so that can even be. You can actually prove that people are in fact born gay.
Wait. kind of trying to help him along. But
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I was just trying to help him along, you know. But yeah, so Bobby, we get what you're saying, like metaphorical, subjective, et cetera, et cetera. We get.
He's basically saying what Lalik said in the comments: objective and subjective and objective truth.
Right. So this is gonna go tie. You're trying to tie it back into the whole faith. Evidence requires faith thing. How are you connecting the two, basically?
Yeah. So even when we're reading studies, or even when people like are using the scientific method, they're relying on sense data, right? And everybody has a way of interpreting sense data differently. And the reason why I bring this up and why it ties into God for me is because I believe that when, like for me, evidence presupposes God. Like to even be able to, have evidence, you need something to ground it in, right? And if you don't have it to have something to ground it in, everybody's going to have different interpretations of what the sense data really is. Like, even if you agree with a study that, like you said, you could see sexuality in the hypothalamus or whatever it was, you are having faith. You have faith. You believe.
It's the hypothalamus, by the way. The hypothalamus.
You believe.
Right.
Yeah.
So you accept that study because it aligns with something that you believe is true, but
well, it's not just what I believe is true. It's also It's also objectively proven based on research and stuff. So it's not just like I'm saying it.
I think it's going into bias. You're going into biases, and I think you're confusing biases and faith, right? Everybody has biases, right?
Pause. Everybody pause. I think I know where he's going to. He's going to like sense data, sense experience. Basically, like none of us can show that we're not a brain in a vat. So at this point, all we have is our sense data, and we have to rely on that. But we all know that our sense data can also be unreliable. Like we can hear voices that aren't there, et cetera, right? So the thing is about so the thing about that is, Bobby, is that this is why we don't only rely on our own sense data. We have to rely on those around us to show things that are objective. Like, for example, according to my particular subjective...
What would you call that?
Give me a second. If we were, like, for example, if I were to rely on my own sense data of jumping off the roof of my apartment building is going to break my legs, then that's just me, right? However, if we consistently see people who jump off of 3-story buildings consistently break their legs, then we can show that, hey, this is kind of objective, that if you jump off a 30-foot building, you're going to break your legs. You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, there are some times where adrenaline gets into the case, where you land a certain way, or you land on a certain soft spot of the floor. Like, you may not break your legs, but consistently, you jump off a 30-foot building onto concrete, you're going to break your legs, right? So we can kind of say, even though it's sense data and it's our own sense data, this sense data is pretty objective, like across the board. It's pretty consistent.
Well,
it's reliable.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
wouldn't you say the same thing for the people that witness Jesus in their dreams?
Give me a second, Derek. Go ahead, Bobby.
Absolutely. In that specific realm of like truth and being able to trust sense data or not, you're still, like, of course there's that, but there's still, we're talking about a concept of God, right? So obviously we can't see God, right? I mean,
so if I may, Bobby, if I may, talking about sense data, the good thing about sense data, and for example, the jumping off the building examples, is that when sense data leaves us, unsure, we can always rely on instrument and physics and mathematics and calculations, right? For example, we can calculate exactly how many stories you got to go up to for sure break your leg when you land, right? If we know the surface at the bottom, we know your weight, we know the height, there is a formula that's going to give us the for sure answer that you're going to break something. So we can always do that. And when you mentioned earlier scientific theories and stuff like that, the good thing about that is that it doesn't rely on sense data. It relies on the method. So you give the method and you let
relies
other
on
people.
sense data, though.
Huh?
Interpretation. Again,
I think that's what Bobby was going to try to get to, right? You're saying that the interpretation of that data still relies on our sense data. Is that true? Is that what you're trying to say, Bobby?
You have to, you're grounding yourself in something, and other people are either choosing to agree and ground themselves in the same, or they're not, right?
Right. We're kind of grounding ourselves in empiricism. If this is showing to be consistent, and all of our senses are consistent with this outcome, then that's kind of empirical, is it not?
I would agree, it is empirical, but then that's what I'm saying is like, so you have faith in empiricism as like the highest highest version of truth, or
so
the thing is, I don't think it's faith. I think it's just like this is what the data consistently shows. So we don't really have faith in anything. It's just this is what it consistently shows. Like if you're gonna say that we have to have faith in our senses because we can't prove that we're a brain of that, the only thing that I can say is that you have to use your senses to interact with God anyway. So how do you know that the God is not just a brain? You're not just a brain of that, and it's feeding you sense data about God. You see what I'm saying? So we're all in the same position.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
well, for me, so I'd say there's sacraments and then there's the church. For me specifically, I'm coming from an Eastern version of Christianity that it isn't like this Protestant. Our tradition goes all the way back to the 12 apostles who wrote the canonical Gospels, right? So we believe that lineage doesn't just start there. It doesn't even just start with Jesus. It goes all the way back to the beginning of time, like through the Israelites, all the way back to Adam and Eve, right? So we believe that the word itself, like truth itself, right? I mean, we use words to relay truth. We believe that truth itself was relayed through the word, to humans, and through oral tradition. It's always been passed down. Like all truth has always been passed down since the beginning of time.
Right. So I understand all that. I get it, right? But what I think we're kind of not getting past the because we spent about 15 minutes on this, but we're kind of not getting past the conversation of evidence requires faith. It like according to what we know, it really doesn't. It's just like because the only thing that we can rely on is our sense experience. But I don't think that just because that's all we can rely on means that all of a sudden that's what faith is. Like I'm not seeing a connection there.
Well, so this would be the connection. So you guys are trusting in empirical data, right? Like a scientific method, testing, retesting. Then you're taking the probability, right? You're taking like a mass amount of the data, you're taking it together, you're finding the average, and then you're doing the rest of the steps to come down to like whatever grade is necessary for you guys to be like, all right, this.
So Bobby, not actually Bobby, because if you're on the phone right now, right? Did you know that to make a smartphone, we use over 8 scientific theories? So it's not just about making it work on paper and make it make sense for your peers. It's about the theory producing results. So when we do all these measurements and these calculations and we classify something as a scientific theory, it's because it produces results. We're on the phone today because of more than 8 different scientific theories that most people would think is just it's just an interpretation. It's just no, but it works. Produce results.
I understand that. So cause and effect, right? So I don't necessarily think that because you caused, like if we have a cup, right, and you pour it out onto the table, I don't think that just because you poured it to the right, and you did it a bunch of times, that means that you can't also do the same thing and get the same effect on the table if you poured it to the left. You know what I'm saying? So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you giving us a hypothetical for our arguments. as a response, as a rebuttal, you're giving a hypothetical. You're doing a what if. I don't think that should suffice here.
Right. So here's what I would say, Bobby. Damn. Sorry about that. Here's what I would. Yeah. Something fell down. I got to go fix it in a second. Here's what I would say, what I asked Bobby. How do we get to God from all this?
So how do we get from God? So it comes down to faith, right? We know it comes down to faith.
It goes down to faith. Okay, that's the reason why I put that fifth one up there. That faith is not reliable for us to get to the truth, because the reason why that is because you can take something 100% on faith and still be 100% wrong, right?
Well, yeah, same with you, right? Let's say there's a study done, like 1 out of 100 people die walking down a sidewalk, right? And there's a probability there, and a percent, right? If you put your faith in empiricism, right, alone, and you see that data, and you're like 1 out of 100 chance, okay, yeah, I'm going to take that risk. You're going to take a leap of faith in trusting that you're going to make it past that sidewalk.
No, the other way, going the other way against the data would be the one that requires a leap of faith. If you're going with the data, you actually making the easy choice. You need faith to do the other way, to go against the data.
Faith comes to faith. Listen, hold on. Can I speak for a minute?
Go ahead.
When it comes to faith, you have to understand two things that take effect within people having faith: their indoctrination, their nature, and their nurture, their subjective reality. When you're talking about the 5 senses that lead to the mental formations, that is something by nature that the mind does on its own. It gravitates to the world of forms. It tries to understand the world of forms, and it does so using scientific methods. Now, what is the mode of faith? Well, faith can lead people with heavy devotion, can lead people to euphoria. It can lead to the little pineal gland dripping its fluids into the brain, and how the experience is going to be digested if it's outside of physicality, which again is going to be different to every human being. Meaning that if one person sees Jesus, the other person sees Krishna, there's no way with empirical evidence, scientific evidence, to be able to say, okay, this is the product of that, other than one's own memory and one's own nature nurture, basically, one's own subjective reality. Therefore, when you're trying to talk about spiritual matters, there is no way it can be mapped, no way it can be traversed. And when we're talking about how things interconnect with nature, we know that we have to rely on nature. We need the fruits from nature. We need the sun from nature. We need the moon from nature. We need all these things because they're interconnected with our survival. So we know they're important, and where they sit position-wise is important. So there is an interconnected relationship between us and everything around us. Now, our idea of separateness comes from the idea that we think we're higher than or more than what's around us. Yet we use everything to make everything. Yet we rely on everything and causes and conditions to make everything where it is. So therefore, there is no separation between us and that which is, only the illusion that we think we are higher than. Now, if you want to talk about using belief in the right way, would be to sit down with the experience, self-digest it, and come to conclusions about your own inner exploration. Not saying my God is the right God, it must be the correct God, because that is a subjective reality bias. And that is deeply ingrained within the person's nature if they haven't been able to, deconstruct and stuff like that.
All right, so yeah, just to land. Yeah, go ahead, Coco. Just give me one second. All right, y'all. I do appreciate everybody being here. We're at 22K likes. I am going to go ahead and end it in a few minutes because I've been on for close to 3 hours now, and I still want to be with my wife tonight. So she's more important. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up in a few minutes. But go ahead, Coco. Go ahead and let you go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up in a few minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, and when it comes to faith can lead you to believing in anything. Like I was trying to say before, I think faith comes from the Latin word confide, which is also kind of synonymous with confidence. Having faith can lead you to really anything, or you can have confidence in anything, or looking into empiricism or historical data, following this method of trying to look at evidence rather than just believe something due to faith or sensationalism can help you more efficiently like weed out the good and bad theses out there trying to explain the data, which is like our reality. So I think like faith, like if you only use faith to find the truth, you might accidentally like land on what might be the truth. But with empirical data or with like looking at the evidence and evaluating, that is a more accurate way of studying, asking questions, and getting to the truth.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it cuts off. It just cuts off an entire aspect of reality that isn't. It's incomplete in itself. Like empiricism is incomplete in itself. It doesn't actually map onto what reality itself is. Like when we talk about metaphysics, right, or ethics and morals and stuff, you can't really map that out in an empirical way.
Yeah, like I think some things are like conceptual, but still we have to like evaluate these things. We're not taking it on faith. We're more so like evaluating these ideas and like talking about it and like having philosophical discussion about it. I'm not really sure what to call the method, but I think that like thinking about things, like evaluating evidence, like trying to evaluate like empiricism, I think that's a way better method. Like detective work is like a way better method than like just believing in something. It's way more accurate for like, you know, producing like results in regards to weeding out what is true and what's not true.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think it's funny because we both think that we're talking in loops. Because when I hear you guys say that, I think you guys are like in the same loop that you guys think I'm in. Because I hear you be like when you look into the empiricists,
appreciate that, Beats,
evidence, the data and stuff. The first thing that comes to my mind is like, how do you know that it's true? How do you know that that's true? Like, where's your foundation at?
We see it working every day.
One of the scientists that did that study, and you know what his beliefs are, and you also agree with him because he's the one that came to the conclusion himself, like using his own sense.
No, Bobby, that is not how scientific studies and theories work, right? When you submit a paper as a scientist, you have to explicitly tell us what you did, and you have to literally teach what you did to everybody. Yeah, and then they have to go
accept it.
And no, not accept it. They have to go and test it. They challenge it.
You guys are not.
They test everything, right?
But time out. He teaches the method, right? You take his method that he taught you, right? You take it. You're being skeptical. You can still have skeptical faith, right? You can be like, okay, I'll hear you out. Even the Bible, I'm not even gonna bring that up. But even in the Bible, it shows in the New Testament how like Jewish scholars.
Excuse me, I need you to continue on how the peer review stuff is flawed, because that's what I want to hear. Because you say it's flawed.
Yo, Beats, have you been going through the peer reviews data yourself?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is how it works, right? So somebody comes, they teach you their method, their findings, their conclusions. You take it skeptically, and then you go and apply it your own way. Like, you go and apply it the same way, using his method.
Yeah, I thought you said your own way, because it's definitely not your own way. You have to. They basically tell you what they did.
Yeah,
they tell you
say Beats. You came up to me with a method on how to turn water into ice. Say we're the first people to do this using a fridge. You took the cup, you filled it with water. You took it to the freezer. You put it in there. You left it in there overnight. The next day you went back. You saw that there was ice. You did that 100 times. Every single time, it turned to ice. If I had never done that before, and I wanted to test it and see if it was true, I would take what you said, and I'd be like, okay, I don't really believe this. This sounds crazy. There's no way he took liquid water, put it in this thing, and it turned to ice.
Okay.
I would go, I'd take your method, I would go, I'd do it, I'd see that it happened for me as well, and then I'd be like, checks out. It's objective. There's empirical evidence here now, right?
Yeah.
Like objectively true.
That's peer review. That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, peer review. But that's the thing. Is you first had faith in it happening, taking it, testing it for yourself, and having it happen for you.
No, that's not faith. That's not faith. When people do peer review, they're actually trying to prove the person wrong. So if how are you having faith trying to prove somebody wrong?
You guys don't analyze.
Literally walking towards the fridge. You're walking towards the fridge and saying, "There's no way this is gonna work. There's no way this is gonna work." And then you do it. It's like, holy shit, it worked. You know.
Yeah, because like all the claims, all hypotheses in science have to be falsifiable, meaning that you have to actually try to prove yourself wrong, and you actually have to show a method to prove yourself wrong. And if you fail to prove yourself wrong, then that's when you show that you're right. So it's not really faith. You're trying to show that you're wrong. That's how all that works. It's falsifiable. It has to be falsifiable.
Yeah, but even in that sense, like you're still like the things that you're trying to use to falsify what you're like the ice. I mean, like, you know what? Maybe it was just the cup.
Hey, Bobby, I'm sorry, Bobby. Hey, QTK, I've asked you several times, do you want to come up and discuss? And you keep ignoring it. If you ignore it one more time, I want you to say yes or no. I want to come up and discuss. If you just come up and have that conversation, QTK. If you ignore me again, I'm just gonna go ahead and mute you for the live. Go ahead, Bobby.
Are you guys actually looking at the peer review, or you're basing your information off of someone else? That's blind faith.
Okay.
You're not even analyzing the data.
You have blind faith in all the physicists and the physician in the world because you're on the phone and you trust that it's going to work because you pay your bill and you pay Apple or whoever for that phone. But like I said, there's more than 8 scientific peer-reviewed theories used to make that phone. You trust that. You trust that they work when you buy the phone for $1,000.
Name one peer-reviewed paper that disproves God.
Okay, I got a question for that, right? So are there peer-reviewed papers that pass?
No.
And then were later proven false?
No, never. Because the key, again, a paper is peer-reviewed and accepted if it works, right? It's not about if it's true or false, or if it worked, it can never be unworked. Like, it's like, I don't understand how you can do a calculation today, like 1 + 1, and every time somebody does 1 + 1, it's always 2, and we validate it. We say, okay, this is a law. There's nothing in the future that's going to change that. We can find imaginary parts like 1i in calculus, 1i times something -1 or whatever. I forgot the imaginary part of the numbers, but we can add on top of the 1 + 1 = 2. The 1 + 1 is not going to stop being 2 in the future.
Right. So, So Bobby, the way that it works is that basically they add more on top of the knowledge that we already know. Like, for example, relativity didn't disprove Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics is still used, but relativity added on top of it. Essentially, it doesn't disprove anything.
Right. I see. So
why is it that?
Busy B.
Yeah.
It's not your turn yet.
Okay, my bad. I'll wait.
Go ahead, Bobby.
What do you guys call that specific kind of science? Like, because obviously that's not, like, for example, like psychology, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to be 2 different types of sciences. Also, like, again, ethics.
Yeah, so there's hard science. So things called hard science.
Like biology.
Right. So there's things called hard science and soft science. Hard science is basically, biology and chemistry and physics. And then soft science is like what you said, anthropology, sociology, psychology, things like that.
Right. So when it comes down to something like meaning, right? Or because what I'm saying is the hard sciences isn't the end all be all. That's like one specific like realm of like truth, right? Can we agree?
I mean, it's trying to cover all the truth about the natural world and the natural phenomenon. So as far as it keeps going up, it's going to eventually cover all that there is to cover. Psychology and sociology are more higher level sciences where they don't really deal with the natural world. They deal with people's behavior, society, culture, subjective topics.
Right.
Also, keep in mind if it's indeed in finite model sciences, science goes on forever exploring and mapping. It does never stop exploring and mapping. It still goes on in the process of discovery and mapping the cosmos and our existence.
Yeah, and I believe that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, Bobby, we've been here for a while, and I got to go ahead and end the live soon. But I do appreciate you
Yeah, man, I had
being
a
up,
good
though.
point.
All right?
I had a good point that if you dismiss the smartest people in the world, then it proves God.
All
The
right.
smartest people.
All right. So, Shakti, how's it going, Shock? Now it's your time to shine. Probably gonna be for the next 10 minutes because I really gotta go. I gotta get to sleep. Well, not even get to sleep. I gotta tell my wife. But, Shakti, how's it going, Shakti? What did you need to say about the subject?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question to Beats. Name one peer review page.
There
you've
isn't
read.
one. Next.
Name one you've read.
He already answered.
You haven't read any.
Nope.
Wait, hold on. What, was your question name one that disproves God because there isn't any? That's
No,
not how
just
that
name
works.
a peer review page you've read.
I haven't.
Name data that you've read through science.
I haven't.
So you don't know. Thank you.
When you say name one data. Hold on, Shock.
Goodbye.
When you say Shock, listen. When you say
you lost.
name
Goodbye.
Shock, listen. Stop doing that. When you say name, okay, yeah. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and try to let's see if we have anybody else. All right, we have someone named Rich versus Poor, and that's gonna be the last one probably. Let's see if they actually come up.
So you lost. Goodbye. You lost. Goodbye.
Yeah, ridiculous. All right, I don't think Rich is here anymore. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, though. But I do appreciate y'all being up. I'm just going to go ahead and do my closings. And y'all have a good night, all right? So, Beats, I appreciate you being up. Caddy, I appreciate you being up. And Coco, I appreciate you, man. That was I really appreciate that for real. Really helped my live out. Coco, you be live when I be at work, which is why I don't be hopping on a lot of times. But if you go live anytime tonight or this weekend, I'm going to try to hop on, all right? But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Shout out to everybody who's watching on my YouTube. Shout out to everybody who's watching me on Facebook. You guys are amazing. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'm going to get out of here. We've been on for 3 hours, so got to get out. You guys are wonderful. We got to 22K likes tomorrow. Let's try to go ahead and get that more tomorrow. I am live with, what's his name? I'm live with, Black Atheist Rants. My bad. Yeah, Kofi, come around at 7, all right? I always try to do these around 7 o'clock. Thursday through Sunday. I try to go on at 7 o'clock, all right? So, we're going to go ahead and get it, and get out of here. So, tomorrow I'm going to be on with Black Atheist Rants. Come through for the Thoughts and Rants show where we talk about why black people should not be Christian, Muslim, or black Hebrew Israelites. Ooh, Trump fan came so late. Trump fan, you should have came here earlier. I will definitely love to have a discussion with you, but I'll talk to you next week, all right? So, you guys are wonderful. I appreciate y'all being here. Always remember to remain smart.